Welcome to Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from Central California with your hosts Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. Broadcasting video worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net and broadcasting audio on the Dark Matter Network at ArtBell.com. Are you ready to witness something that you cannot explain?
I'm looking for you. You're looking for me. We have to decide what it will be. Can it be true? Can I believe? We unexplained. Look into the sky. You realize you're not alone. Open your eyes. You can find the trail that comes from.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from the bottom left-hand corner of the Nevada Triangle. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez, your host. Thank you for showing up wherever you may be. I really appreciate it. I'm going to lower that music down a little bit. And we're going to have a good show tonight, just like every Sunday. Now, we don't have a 2-hour show. We have a 3-hour show. So what we're going to do is we're going to break at the hour and a half mark, so at 6:30 our time, and we're going to break down, take a break for about 5-6 minutes. This is going to break down, take actually a little bit longer break because we actually have 2 guests that are be coming in live in the studio and sit down and talk with us, and we're going to be talking about the Chinese tunnels. All right, to my right, to your left, co-host of Paranormal Central, Alan Thomas.
Hey everyone.
And womaning the boards out in the deep corners of Paranormal Central Studios. Womaning the board. Yep, that's what I said. Emerald Bonilla.
I am.
You gotta talk louder than that. You gotta talk louder than that. Are you serious? Wow. No, get right up to it. Really? Are you that full blast over there? Turn up full blast. Full blast. Well, no, we had to turn mics and switch mics around because of our guests that are coming in tonight. So we had to switch mics and stuff like that, but you'll still, yeah, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to go get. We have to get another one for you. So, all right, thank you for showing up again wherever you may be. We are broadcasting on live stream the video. If you want to go see us there, you can at live stream. Just type in Paranormal Central and you will find us. If not, you can listen to us at artbell.com on the Dark Matter Network. We are still there, thank God, and you can listen to us there. We're going to have the Squatch Report. Danny Valderrama is going to be coming on and be giving in the week's past Bigfoot sightings all around the world and information on Bigfoot. And we're going to be showing pictures here on live stream. And if you want to see those same pictures, you can go to artbell.com right now on the homepage and just look for Paranormal Central and you will see them there. And we have something set up really cool. Now, usually when we talk about other subjects and we have photographs, we only put them on live stream, and only the people who are watching us on live stream can view them. Well, we're changing that, and now what's going to happen is Emerald is going to tweet out the photographs that we're going to be talking about tonight, and I mean a lot of them, and she's going to be sending them out to the Dark Matter Network. So there is a live tweet page on the Dark Matter on artbell.com someplace. I'm not sure where. I'm sure Keith is going to mention to Emerald exactly where, and she'll let us know. And then you can go and see those photographs pop up individually one by one. So that way you guys are going to be in tuned all the time. All right, guys?
I don't know if they can hear me, but
yeah.
It's hashtag DMRadioNet.
Okay.
So they can type that in and they'll be able to see all our pictures.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So let's get Danny on the line. Is Danny there?
Hello.
All
I'm
right.
here.
All right, Danny, Mr. Valderrama.
Big show today. Holy
Big
cow.
show.
Hey,
Big
thanks
show.
for the little alien.
Yeah.
Love it.
Got
Thank
it?
you.
Yeah, he got toasty tonight. As a matter of fact, it's in his coffee right now.
Yeah.
So Danny went. Actually, we're going to talk about this after the Sasquatch report. But when Danny went to Vegas a couple of weeks ago, he actually was able to take a run up to the Alien Inn in Rachel, Nevada. And him and his wife actually went down to the mailbox and went to the gate of Area 51. What's kind of cool is he went into the Alien Inn and he took a lot of photographs. And Danny set up what we're going to do right after we talk to Danny is we're going to call Pat Travis, the owner of the little Alien Inn in Rachel, Nevada. We're going to talk to her live on the air, you guys. That awesome or what? So we got a big show tonight. Oh my gosh. Okay.
5 hours.
Yeah, 5 hours. So, all right. Let's go ahead and continue, and let's start with photograph number 1 for the Squatch Report. And I'm going to go ahead and go to...
I'm not sure what you said there.
With the Siri over there? You got Siri going on? Okay, hold on. I got so many pictures here,
Are you
man.
too far away from the receiver?
Hold on. Yeah. Let me, all right.
You're cutting out.
All right, let me...
We're
all right,
cutting out. Am I cutting out?
Yeah.
No, how about now? I should be cool, right?
Yeah,
All right.
that's good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not talking into the mic. All right, let me go to Danny number 1. And... All right, you got it.
I heard
Go for
that.
it.
All right, this
What's
first one
this?
has 6 pictures. It's from the Bigfoot evidence page. Spectral Motion, the people who created the creature from the movie Exists, released some behind-the-scenes pictures this week, and they're pretty awesome. The first picture you have up should be of a plaster cast being made of the actor playing the creature.
That's number 1?
Yep.
Oh, that was at the very bottom of the list, dude, when you sent them to me.
Yeah, they were all out of order
Oh.
because of the computer thing issue.
Oh. That's right. Your computer blew up.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm using an iPad.
Okay, hold on. Let me go to...
Bring that computer to me. I'll fix it.
God, there's so many pictures.
Or
dude.
it'll
Okay.
wind up in the pile in my backyard that doesn't ever work again.
Okay, I got the cast made of the suit. Go for it.
Yeah, there's a plaster cast being made of that suit there, and
Wow.
plenty of behind-the-scenes pictures. This movie is getting great reviews still, and it's available on demand for $7.99. And the next picture is the body. There's a making a bodysuit, and you can see them putting it on a dummy, trying to make sure it fits.
I know it's
And it has you can see all the muscles that are underneath the costume
That's what I had. That one.
to make it realistic. Well, the first one was a plaster cast a mold being made of someone.
Okay.
It was a headshot.
Got it. Okay, now we got the bodysuit.
Okay. Pretty cool. It's a
Wow.
lifelike Sasquatch. The creature was made from eyewitness accounts. So they did try to do everything right in this movie.
Right. I mean, it's like, when people witness, all the photographs that we've been getting in videos, you can tell that it's a suit because the rug on it is just moving up and down. It's not a tight fit. Here, like you just said, they're doing it exactly right. I mean, it's like you're building the muscle inside the costume, like the Patterson Gimlin film would have done. This is what they would have done back then. But
if the technology was available in 1967.
So let's think about that. Right now, this is what they should have done with the Patterson Gimlin film, because you can see the muscles ripping when it's walking. So there's no way they could, those farmers in the middle of nowhere could build something like this. Do you understand what I'm saying, you guys out there who don't believe in Bigfoot?
And if they could, it would have cost them $1 billion.
Yeah,
then.
because back then there's no way. So this is like awesome right here. This pretty much debunks the whole suit right here, because this is what they would have done in order to have made that costume. So, but it wasn't a costume because they didn't have the technology to do it. Simple as that. All right, next.
Yeah. So the next picture was just doing a test walk to see how the actor could walk in the
Okay, there it is.
in the costume, and you can see him walking along a chain link fence
Right.
outside their studios there in L.A.
So this is a big budget movie then.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money on these costumes.
Okay.
They probably have more than one too.
All right. Next one is
Next one, it's on its knees.
Right.
It's a scene from the movie, and then the next picture is a close-up of the face. Most movies, when they don't have a high budget, they'll try to hide the creature so you can't really see it. And this one, everyone's applauding because you can see what's chasing people or coming after people.
Wow.
In the movie.
This is something that we would love to be on to get on the set.
Is that the one that tackled the guy on the bicycle?
Yeah.
Is that, oh,
This
man.
is the one that was running after him. That was a great scene.
That gave me nightmares. And I didn't even see the movie, just only the trailer. It's like,
This is only a few pictures because I didn't want to blow up the site. And if you go to the Spectral Motion
Whoa, where you
Facebook
going?
page,
No.
they have a lot of pictures on there. Fake arms and fake legs and ankles that are being ripped apart and stuff. A lot of good stuff on there.
Okay. Next page. Next one.
Cool, thank you.
All right, that was 3. That was 4. And then we got this one here. The one crouching in the bushes. That one's a cool one. You still there? Oh.
Gotta love the hired help around here. They think of us. Give them a raise.
All right, number 5. Now we got a bone.
Cut out again.
Let's give
What?
them a bone.
Can you hear me? Dude, can you hear me?
Danny.
Oh, we losing him? What's up with that? Is the phone... I mean...
He's still on.
Danny, can you hear me?
Maybe he was the one cutting out.
Maybe he's still. We try calling him back.
Okay.
Because you know that like all the electronics are going out. Our stove went out. Our dryer
Dude.
went out.
All
My battery in my car went out.
All kinds of electronics have been zapping. As a matter of fact, I was working yesterday and the day before, and 3 cordless phones were burned out. There's something. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
You know what? My cordless phones are messing up too.
Dude, there's something going on, you guys.
So what in the world? I don't want to buy it. We're just going to buy, it takes the little AAA batteries that you can
What's the matter,
recharge.
Emerald?
There's no dial tone.
Oh, you're going to drop it. Ooh.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, that's why. You know what? That cord came off of it. That's why.
What cord?
That cord came off. It fell down. That's why you didn't hear us. The cord came off.
Hey. See, I thought the iPad was going out right now. Took forever for this thing to connect.
Plug it into wherever that's available. Are you there, Danny? Danny? Really? Oh, okay. Now, Danny, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, the cord slipped
Come
off
back
for some
to
reason.
us, Danny.
Sorry about that, guys. As you can see, we were
You guys are on
doing
live support.
we were doing some remodeling in the studio, and for all those who are watching us right now, can definitely see we had to bring in a couch because we're going to have 2 guests on air today, live in the studio. So okay,
And then we have this really cool graphic. Can you find it?
That looks really awesome.
so, all right, we got a bone on the screen. Go for it.
All right, this is Melba Ketchum. This is from her Facebook page. She's showing a giant arm bone that doesn't say how she came about this, if it's part of a museum or if it's part of her own private collection. But she claims this bone, if it was complete, would extend from her shoulder down to her wrist. It's a huge, giant bone. And it has a very large diameter on it, too.
Yeah, it looked like a PVC pipe, man, like an inch and a half. Wow.
She says there's extra calcification on the bone, too, which means that when you have that much calcification on it, it's bearing an extreme weight. So she's trying to get these samples tested and try to get them sequenced.
Very
She's
cool.
been doing these genetic studies on you've seen those cone heads from Peru,
right?
And also the Sasquatch and also the red-headed giants, who are a legend in the Native American. She said she already has DNA extracted from several museum specimens, but needs to have a whole genome in order to unravel the whole mystery of the red-headed giants. That's what she's trying to work on right now. And she wants to find out if they're actually a Native American tribe or if they are Bigfoot. So she set up a GoFundMe page.
Right.
And her goal is $9,000. And just about a month ago, it was down to 0. She hadn't had any money, and right now it's at $4,500.
Wow. So she's like
So
halfway.
She's getting
huh?
closer. She's
That's
getting
like
really
half.
excited. It's getting closer.
Very cool.
And
it's like
she said that if you do donate, and what she's going to do is, as the results come in, she's not going to hold anything back. She's going to let everybody know what the results are, because she really wants to find out what these are. So
If we had a budget and we were on national TV already, I would have called her and I would have said,
Pay the whole thing.
We'll pay the whole thing, do it, and come on the air right here and divulge. Even if it's not or is, I don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah. She said she's not going to publish it in a journal this time, and she doesn't believe in peer review because they're so unfair, and with all the bad stuff that's happened with her Bigfoot testing that she's done.
Right.
So she doesn't trust them anymore. So she's going to just do it, release everything as she finds it.
Cool.
But she needs the whole nuclear DNA to see which percentage is human and anything else that comes in. So
well, let's hope she can do it. Let's hope see what happens. Okay. All right. What's next?
All right. This next one is from the Coalition for Reason, Science, Sanity, and the Bigfoot Research. This is from November 9th. And this is a brand new thermal camera that's coming out. It's Seek Thermal.
Okay.
And so far the demand has been really high. And it's a little snap-on. And it's affordable. It's only $200. But so far it's not available for the iPhone.
Oh.
Right now it's only for the Samsung Galaxy S4, Galaxy S5, Motorola G, and the Motorola X, Moto X. And you must be able to support the USB on the go. And you have to download an app from the Google Play Store. And it also has to have an Android. You have to have an Android running 4.42. And the reason why it's not available for Apple right now, they do have an Apple version, but they're having problems because they can't get it in the app that you need that goes along with this.
Mm-hmm.
The Apple Store won't take it right now. So
why that?
Until they get the I don't know why, but probably because it competes with their FLIR. I don't know if they have an agreement with FLIR.
Oh.
When you have
right,
because right now that one. But so far they're having problems getting that into the store, and until they do, it's not going to be available for the iPhone.
This one looks better than the FLIR one, the one on the Apple. Because this one kind of like just plugs into the port and hangs off the side, right? And the Apple one like covers the whole phone, even though it has its own battery and everything. That is a plus, but this one looks like
this one is easier to use, and it's the range is 1,000 feet on it.
Oh, whoa, that's good.
But it is developed by Raytheon, who is a California-based company that specializes in weapons technology and military electronics. So they said they really did a good job with this one, and this one's the closest competitor right now is FLIR 1.
Right.
With this, FLIR 1 has probably better pixels because this one is 3,200 or 32,000 pixels, and the FLIR 1 is 48.
Oh.
So.
And I don't know what the FLIR 1 radius or ranges.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I'm sure it ain't no 1,000 feet either.
Yeah. So this one, it's available right now on Amazon.com.
Wow.
So far, the reviews are good. You can add timestamps on it, watermarks, and you can also take screenshots. And with those pictures that you have on there, you can see it does a split screen. So if you're not sure what you're filming, because the image is different because of the heat,
right?
You can do a split screen, and it'll show you what you're filming on there.
Very cool. Well, hey, like you said, technology is coming out now, and it's going to get cheaper and better and better and cheaper, and this is where we're at right now because there's a lot of us out there.
Isn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, I paid close to $400 for the FLIR 1, only because I wanted it really bad when it came out. I had to get it. So.
Yep.
Right on.
Just imagine what the technology they have now. If they're letting us have this, like when we were hanging out with Nat Geo in the FLIR truck, we got to see the technology they're letting the public see. That oh man, it is way better than what they're letting us have.
Right. Because the military's first, the government's first, so they're getting all the top stuff, and then
you get to see everything 20 years after they develop.
Right.
Even 40 years sometimes, if it's good.
Sometimes never.
Yeah. Like the XP38 or XB38 or whatever it is.
There's another. I'm just showing the FLIR pictures. Oh, not the FLIR, but the
thermal
pictures. And there's
so that isn't made by FLIR. What did you say, Raytheon?
Raytheon developed all the software and hardware for it. It's made by Seek
Oh,
SEEK. Seek
Yeah.
Thermal.
I never even heard of them.
Yeah, neither have I.
Call them up, see if they want a sponsor.
But they picked up the right people to do it, Raytheon.
Right.
I heard that, the total black project company in the world.
Okay. All right, and that's it on the Sasquatch report, right?
Yep.
Okay, now let's move right along over to Area 51. Well, tell everybody where you were at. You were basically on vacation, and
Yeah,
I'm going to say it again.
Vacation again
You
in Las
s-
Vegas for a week.
You suck. That was 2 weeks ago, and we didn't really talk about it last week because we wanted to sort of kind of keep it top secret, and now it's here, and and for those who don't know, Danny's a photographer by trade, and give him a camera and a location like Vegas, and forget it, you have 1,000 photographs. So, and, you know what? Tell everybody your computer went down. How many photographs did you have on there?
45,000.
Holy cow. Wow. No wonder it went down.
It couldn't.
And that's just since I got the computer. All the other computers still have all their old pictures on them that I have to figure out how to get them out. But
45,000.
I could get them out for you.
that's what I'm hoping.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is he went and took some photographs of the alien inn, and then we're going to show those, and then we're going to talk about them a little bit, and then I'll put on the area or the gate at the Area 51. So the first one I'm just going to put up really quick is the sign. And for all those who don't know what the heck this is and where it's at, explain to everybody, Danny, what this is and where at, and how far from Vegas.
The little alien.
Right.
Okay, that's if you find the Las Vegas Speedway, you'll keep on going past the Las Vegas Speedway, and then you'll turn onto, I think it was Highway 93, and you'll go for about 3 hours north of Las Vegas.
Wow, that
until
long.
you get to this Area 51. But you'll turn onto Highway 375, which is the extraterrestrial highway, and as soon as you turn onto that highway, there's a sign right there, and that's the best one to take pictures of, because the second one that's in the town of Rachel is covered in stickers, which I thought of putting on a Paranormal Central sticker right in the middle, but we don't have them.
You don't have one. Damn it. Damn
So
it.
every picture that's taken of that sign will have the Paranormal Central picture on it.
Man. Okay,
We
yeah,
don't
I
have
know.
them.
I know. Got to get off my butt.
3
Road
hours
trip.
on a lonely highway, and
Shut
Time
up.
you
for
don't
a
pass
road
very
trip.
many
Shut
cars.
up. You had your wife.
We'll go road
Yeah.
tripping. We'll put a sticker everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, how did that
There was
happen?
also, in front of us, was a paranormal group from Oregon.
Mm.
So
Did you
they
tell?
had Bigfoot shirts on.
Really, Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Oregon.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. And there is we got the picture of you standing near that UFO and the tow truck, sort of.
Yeah, it's been out there since the beginning.
So put that up there. All right. And then I'm going to put up, I don't know. Okay, there's one here that you're actually standing near like a tower full of electronic and solar, that box.
Yeah, it said on the sign there, you can ask Pat about this, but I just read it really quickly, and it said it was there to measure air particulates and keep accurate measurements of that. And I don't know if that's because they used to,
Radiation.
test nuclear bombs out there, because it was the Nevada test range.
Right.
So I don't know if that's still testing the radiation in the air or what that's for. But
I want to probably say it is.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's for, though.
Yeah, that would make sense. Definitely makes sense. So,
There's nothing out there.
yeah. All right, now let's go inside the little alien inn, and we're gonna basically show the first one. Oh, I'm just gonna show the inside of the facility, and I think is that your who's that? Is that your wife in the blue back there?
In the blue, yeah, that's my
Okay,
wife.
that's cool. All right, so I'm gonna open this up so everybody can see, and for all those who want to know what the alien inn is, and we talked about it here. The movie Paul. You remember where the two guys went into the little restaurant and all the alien stuff there? That's basically the little alien inn, and they actually filmed it there, right, Danny?
They either filmed it there or they made an exact replica of it.
Oh,
Pretty darn close.
you don't think that they have to? I think
think they went there and took pictures and then built it on a soundstage.
no way.
You can ask Pat.
Oh, Wasp Pat, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been too much of a hassle, man. I mean, that's a lot to do. I can't.
But it came out. It looks exactly like it.
It's got to be. They got to have filmed it. Well, see, only because you took some photographs, and I'm going to show those photographs right now. Here is the photographs of Paul, and they have some, thank you for your help. And no, I have a feeling they filmed it
Yeah,
there.
all the characters, all the people in the movie signed those plaques for her.
For her, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is cool.
She has a lot of autographs all over the walls, and you need like 3 or 4 hours in there
Okay.
to look at all the pictures and
Oops, show
books
that one.
and T-shirts and everything. She's got everything. in
Actually,
there.
you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm
Oh,
gonna,
really? Like, it would take 3 or 4 hours? Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. If you wanted to look at every single thing in there,
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
Okay, let me.
That's amazing.
there
3
is-
hours.
There is.
she made a drink for my wife. It's called the Cherry F51.
Okay, the next photograph I have up is you took one photograph of some of the named movie stars or actors and what have you that were there, and
All
we have
famous UFO people.
yeah, George Knapp is up there, Lazar's up there.
Yeah.
What's his face? What's his name?
Friedman.
No, I
Dan
don't,
Friedman.
Is the Friedman on? I can't see him. Is that with the cowboy hat? Maybe is that him? And then you have Montel Williams. That's right there,
yeah.
straight in the face. So, all right. Let's go. I'm gonna put another one up. Here
It
is.
was awesome to be out there. Got something crossed off my bucket list.
And no kidding, man. Here is.
Now, the mailbox, the black mailbox that everybody talks about, was taken down in August of this year, so I didn't get to see that.
Really?
The owner, I guess, got fed up with people either putting stickers on it or putting stuff in his mailbox. So I was 2 months late on that one.
Oh, that sucks. You should have put. You know what? The next time we go, we're gonna take a fake mailbox and we're gonna put it up.
Throw some cement in there real quick.
Put Paranormal Central on it and just put it in the cement thing and just leave it.
Yep.
Dude. Oh, why did I open them up on Big Mouth?
Yeah, now when we get there, there'll be 10 of them.
Got it. Oh, dang it. Okay, never mind what I said. Scratch that. Okay, here is a corner of the store that has a bunch of stuff in it, and if you guys look right up here where I'm pointing with the arrow, that is what a miniature. I this is a large one, but Danny got us a couple of these small. Was it vodka?
Yeah, I think it's vodka.
Yeah. And it's in the shape of an alien head, basically.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You guys weren't worth the big ones.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Probably the big ones are probably expensive too. I'm thinking.
The only problem with going flying is that you have to keep your bag under 50 pounds. That's the hard part.
Oh, dude.
It's
So
tequila.
I bet you wanted to buy a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah. We did buy a bunch of stuff during the week for our kids, but we had to ship that back because if you go over 50 pounds on your bag, it's $200 charge.
Wow. I haven't flown
Dang,
in a
you
long
can send
time.
a lot of stuff UPS for $200.
It was like $25 to ship it all back, so I'd rather pay the
yeah.
$25 than the $200.
Absolutely. All right. Next photograph I have up is a bunch of pictures of aliens, the faces and stuff. So there it is. And so Emerald, are you sending the pictures?
Oh, I'm already ahead.
You're ahead of me, right? I knew you are. I knew you were. See that? You know what? You're getting a raise, double of what you're getting.
Double a
Yeah,
zero.
she says people go in there all the time and tell stories and probably share all those pictures with her.
Okay. The next photograph that I have up is of Pat Travis, who's behind the counter, and on the ceiling of the actual little restaurant or alien inn or whatever you want to call it. Are those dollar bills up there?
Dollars, 20s, 10s. There's a fortune up there.
So they actually they probably write on them, and then
Yeah, whoever goes in there writes it on a dollar bill and gives it to her, and she'll put it up. And we didn't do that. I was thinking about that after. I was, now we got to go back.
Well, you know what? I think it's a road trip time pretty soon for everybody here.
Yeah.
We're going to take a trip there.
It's a long way out there.
I know. But
And the speed limit's 70, 75 most of the way.
Yeah.
And it still takes a long time to get out there.
wow. And that's why Area 51 is out there in the middle of nowhere. But look at all that money, you guys. You guys see all that money up there? That's all, like he said, bills and in different.
I saw a couple 20s up there.
Did you?
So I know it's not all dollar bills.
Okay, now the next picture, I'm gonna just show the actual
The
money.
retirement fund, I think.
I think so. Look at that. Is that incredible or what?
That's amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Wow.
How does she stick them up there with the staple gun?
I don't know. I didn't get a chance to ask her, but you're going to have her on.
Yep. Okay, sweet. All right, let's see. Another photograph is a couple of more photographs of actual UFO pictures and stuff like that. So, people actually bring in photographs, right? And give them to her, and she puts them on
Like
the
a
wall.
meeting point for everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to go out there and cross it off their bucket list, so they take something with her.
Wow, that's cool.
And it's also a hotel. She has like cabins set up in the back, so you have to call like a month or two in advance to reserve your spot. But you can stay out there.
What
See if you can see anything at night.
What is the how many does she have back there?
I think right now there's 2.
And what does each one hold? How many people?
I don't know.
I bet she has RV parking.
Probably.
Never thought about that.
You guys go and I'll get a room.
It's a giant desert.
Yeah.
I'll take a tent. There's no Bigfoots over there.
Okay, yeah, all right. Let me see.
Hope.
I'm looking
Yeah.
for other photographs, and that's pretty much it. And
They have
then
to be real
and
sneaky.
then you took this photograph here. What airplane is that?
That's a Janet airplane.
Damn straight it is. Look at that, guys.
I zoomed in. You can get the numbers off the back of the
Yeah,
tail.
right there. Look at that. Nice shot. And that was taken off the airport, huh?
Yep. They were flying every time I went somewhere throughout Las Vegas. I was looking up in the sky, and I would see them all day long flying up there.
Wow.
And everybody just misses them because they just think they're just a regular plane.
Right. They don't know.
I did try to see at Area 51 when I was at the gate. I did try to see if they were, because it was about time for them to be leaving.
Right.
I didn't see any leaving, but there were jets flying around, and you could hear them more than see them, because as soon as they took off from Groom Lake,
Right.
they were straight up in the clouds. They went
Wow.
straight up there, but I could see them. I caught a sight of them a couple times. They're regular jets.
Very cool. So, all right, what time is it? 6:30. Okay, that's perfect timing. So, okay, cool. All right, well, I think I showed pretty much all the. Well, no, I take that back. Okay, now a couple more, and this is actually here. You're at the gate. Okay, I'm showing the one that you're standing right in front of the gate.
Yep.
Where it
and
says
then
stop.
I have a picture of one that says no photography, and I'm standing right in front of it.
I don't know if I loaded that one up or not.
They didn't really mess with you?
No, there's sensors, and you can see the sensors on the gate. You can see the cameras above you, everything there. And Pat told us to go to this one because there's a gate there, and you'll be sure not to cross it. The other Groom Lake Road doesn't have a gate, so you're on your own. If you pass it, it's like a $600 fine, and they're watching you.
Ooh.
So, and you get arrested, and they'll hold you as long as they want.
That's the one where they like to throw everybody on the ground and put a gun to their head and do all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
And that's if that happened to us, and they'd go Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas of Paranormal Central. Oh, we're holding you indefinite.
Yeah.
You
It's like,
disappear.
oh man, you're
Do what
gone.
they want.
Oh,
Disappear
That
absolutely.
place
in the
doesn't
desert.
exist.
Now there's this one here is a time capsule.
Yeah.
What is that about?
They put a bunch of stuff in there, and I don't remember the year.
Uh-huh.
It says on there, but I don't remember the year.
Okay.
Pat can probably tell you what's inside of it.
All right.
I think they had a ceremony.
Okay. We'll have to.
And that whole area there is free range. So if you're going 75 and you see a cow on the road, the cows have the right of way. All the cattle out there have
Mhm.
the right of way. So
Cool.
if you hit it, you bought it.
Right on. All right, man. Okay, that's all the pictures, dude. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, and we're gonna go ahead and
Okay.
call Pat Travis right now, man. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, we'll talk
Okay.
to you
Oh,
next
thanks,
week.
Danny.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
That's cool pictures. He put them on for all the people that are on Facebook. You can go look at more.
Well, you know how he is.
You
so
know him, I found.
We had a wonderful visit.
Awesome. Yeah, it was. He was really excited to talk about it. As a matter of fact, we just showed a bunch of photographs that he took, and he took a lot of them. And but yeah, you know what? We're gonna have to get up there here pretty soon and take a lot of people with us. So that's why I wanted you to get on, because we're being broadcast worldwide, and a lot of people have heard about you, and I want to talk to you and find out, some more intimate stuff, like, when did you start this? When did you open up this facility?
It was open. My late husband and I opened it 26 years ago.
26
So-
years.
It has been a fantastic thing for everybody. We've had so many people from around the world, every state, every country, have come here.
Now, do you live there?
I live on the premises,
Oh,
yes,
gotcha.
with my new husband.
Right on. Now, since you've been there 26 years, have you seen anything? And
I have actually watched a craft do maneuvers once with my niece. We watched it for about 20 minutes. I mean, it just moved directions I didn't think were possible. Is it ours? Is it theirs? I don't know.
Right. Wow. Now, since you're right there, you get a lot of people who come in, and that you get very popular people like movie stars and rock stars.
James Fox.
What is the biggest movie star that has ever showed up at your facility?
Oh, I don't know. I know Graham Greene has been here. Montel Williams has been here. Oh, some of them I forget names.
Right. I mean, there's been so many people probably. While you're there and you're opened up, has any government officials ever come by? And I don't know if you can tell who they are, but do people come in and sit down and order, and you look at them and go, you look out of place. You just, anything like that?
Well, not really, because most of them identify themselves.
Oh.
We've had several people from Nellis, from everywhere.
Right.
Do I know if somebody works at Area 51? No.
Right. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you.
Those are things they're not going to disclose. It would mean their entire
career
job, their living.
Right. Exactly. Wow.
I will guarantee you that every gate, every entrance is manned 24 hours a day.
And you're talking the gates at Area 51, right?
Yes.
Right.
Any of the gates.
Any of the gates. Now, the movie Paul, did they actually film there?
Not filmed at the Little Alien.
Oh, okay. Wow, so they actually built a whole set just...
Oh, they did it in a place in New Mexico.
Uh-huh.
Without my knowledge of it being a full-fledged movie.
Wow.
Have we enjoyed several people coming up because of the movie? Yes.
Uh-huh.
But we also had people from Independence Day, Galaxy Quest. We can go back for a lot of those.
Right.
And we've done a lot of documentaries over the years. Matter of fact, this last Wednesday, there was pretty great write-up in the Review Journal.
Wow.
On the Little Alien.
Uh-huh. Now, Danny was telling me that you have a couple of places in the back there that people can actually stay.
I have 13 rooms.
Wow. Okay. And how many people per room?
I have only one for one person. The rest of them are anywhere from 2 to 4 people.
Oh, okay. How much are they?
They're $45 a night for our rooms for 2 people, $5 a night in the same room for additional.
God, that's cheap.
And then I do have some of the mobile homes that I rent out that can be rented on fully, like for $165. It's 3 bedrooms. It'll probably put 9 people in most of those because there's a hide-a-bed or a futon in the living room.
Right.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
That is
And we
cool.
have a full restaurant. We have a fantastic gift shop. We have a very good bar. We have RV hookups. We have everything anybody could need.
And my wife is asking, you have liquor?
Of course, I have a full bar.
Yeah. All right, that's it. We're going.
Yeah.
That's it. We're all road trip, guys. Do you?
We have Alien Amber Ale beer, and we have an Alien Stout. We have Alien Tequila. So if we don't have it, you don't need it. And of course, our Alien burgers are known around the world. We have a Galaxy wrap. We have a saucer burger. And then we have a good old country fried steak like you can get from Grandma.
Wow. I see a road trip
Hungry.
coming. I see a road trip coming big time, guys. And anybody
It
wants
would be awesome to have you guys come
Oh
up.
yeah, we have a fifth wheel trailer, but and I think we might just take that. But everybody else who goes is going to follow us in vehicles, and they'll just we'll have to plan way ahead so we can make sure that everybody has a room.
Exactly,
Right
because
on.
this year, for the first time, we're going to have to be closed for almost 2 weeks, from the 14th of December until the 26th or 27th. We're not positive if we can get open on the 26th yet.
Okay.
We have some repairs that must be done, and it's just taken everything I could do to say, okay, we have to do this, and
Right.
we have to be closed to do these.
Right. Well,
But that's okay. We're going to do it. We're going to have a great time in the meantime.
absolutely. I mean, you have to repair the facility in order to keep it up. I mean, you have to.
I want to keep it going. I'm going
Absolutely.
to keep it going.
Awesome. That's what
Another
I want.
thing I'd like everybody to know that on Thanksgiving Day, this will be our 26th free potluck buffet for free for everyone that comes through my doors.
Oh my gosh.
We'll start serving grandma style maybe 1 o'clock, and it might not happen till 2, but you're welcome to come and join with family and friends from all around the world.
Wow.
Dang, that's almost worth the drive right there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, honey, we do turkeys, we do ham. This year, those that make it early, we have had a prime rib given to us. It's not going to go very far, and I get the first piece. But there'll be pies, there'll be salads, there'll be all kinds of desserts.
Wow.
There'll be cranberries. And if I can talk my new husband into it, we'll have homemade yeast rolls.
Wow.
He didn't frown at me when I said it, so I guess maybe it's a go.
That's awesome. You have some money that is stapled or glued to the ceiling of your.
No, it's just a piece of Scotch tape.
Is that all it is?
That's it.
Oh, my
People
gosh.
put their name and where they're from, usually the date. It's a lot of fun to sit and look at all the different places around the world that people have come to the Little Alien in beautiful downtown Rachel, Nevada, to enjoy.
So the money up there is not only American. So you have other countries' monies up there too, then, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely, from everywhere.
That's awesome. Do you know Art Bell personally?
I do know Art Bell.
Awesome. Have you ever been in there? Well, I'm sure he has.
Art's never come up here, but I've known him for a number of years.
Right. That's awesome. Well, okay. Well, I know he's listening right now, and he's
And one
watching.
day
so-
he'll make the journey. But, we're all a very busy group of people.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. So, well, when we plan our trip, I'm going to have to make sure he shows up.
Well, that would be wonderful.
That would be
I
awesome.
haven't seen him in a number of years.
Okay. So, we're going
Probably well before my late husband passed away.
Okay. Wow.
So, and
right.
anybody that's listening that knew Joe Travis, they will always remember.
Wonderful. That's awesome. All right, Pat, we are going to we're going to start planning this trip, and we're going to have to get
That
up
would
there.
be wonderful.
We're going to have to get up there beginning of next year sometime, and we have a large audience, so we'll see who, we'll get a list of people, and we're just going to have a go at it and just hit up there. So,
It would be wonderful to have everybody come up.
okay. Paranormal Central trip. I see a road trip coming on. All right, Pat.
All
Hey,
right.
I appreciate you coming on and talking to everybody around the world. And
Well, thank you.
And
Can I give you my phone number?
I actually
Give
I
your
have
website.
I
You
have
have it?
Yeah,
That's
I have your home.
great.
I have your home phone number and your work phone number. So no problem.
Let's not do the home phone number.
No. I got your work phone number.
Okay.
Okay. So
you
And
could give
have
your
everybody
website.
check out the website. There are some super specials going up on it.
okay. And what's your website, real quick?
It's littlealien.com.
.com. Simple as that.
Yeah, and you have a Facebook like page and stuff like that.
No.
No.
I'm too old school. I have somebody that takes care of this. or I'd be in trouble.
Right on.
You guys all have a great weekend.
Thank you, Pat, for talking to us. We're going to talk to you soon, okay?
All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
take care. Bye.
Man, I'm gonna go for dinner.
That sounds like a fun trip.
It does,
I
man.
mean-
I'm hungry. She done got me with the yeast rolls and oh man,
That is definitely sounds like a fun trip to do.
like it's definitely not Reese's peanut butter cups is all I've been eating
Right.
all day.
So, all right. Well, I don't like to talk about Area 51 and stuff like that, but this is something that was different. You know what I'm saying? How many, of you can say you actually talked to the owner or heard the owner, and she pretty much explains to you what's going to be happening on Thanksgiving. So, if anybody's going to be in Las Vegas on Thanksgiving weekend, or you guys need to get your butts down there
For
and
free.
when
For
you get
free.
down there, you make sure you tell her Paranormal Central, the guy you spoke to, right at the beginning of November, and I want to hear about it too as well. Okay, so yeah, let me know. I really do see a road trip coming.
Well, if they take pictures, we'll even put them up on our like page, our
Right.
Facebook like page.
Right. Absolutely. So, okay. All right. We are at 17:45. We got 45 minutes until we take a break, and I have so much to talk about right now. It's not even funny, man. Let's continue on. All right. The Wolf Manor here in Fresno, California. Okay. For all those who don't know what I'm talking about, no, not yet. When I posted this on my Facebook wall. You guys might have seen the building on Caps, on Ghost Hunters, and on Ghost Adventures, and there's actually a couple more. I've actually seen them. I don't remember them. But they actually tore down the building. The building is no longer up. What happened is, as a matter of fact, let me go and show you some photographs. And Emerald is going to send out some photographs on the Twitter feed going to the Dark Matter Network. So let me show you.
Yeah, so everybody listening on Dark Matter, be checking on the hashtag.
Yeah, so let me, the wolf. There is the wolf. And the wolf is right there. Nope, that's not the wolf. There's the wolf. Okay. So right now, what you are looking at, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to show you us, so I'm just going to post this up there.
It's kind of sad that that's gone,
Yeah.
And I grew up in this town, and that has been there, and it actually was working when I was a kid. There was actually patients and stuff in there.
Over there.
Yeah.
Todd Wolf, the owner, has been trying to keep it up. He used to have a haunted house there back in the days, and I think what happened is the city council or the people in Clovis pretty much got tired of it because of the traffic, and it was just never kept up. And it takes money to keep up something like this, especially an old facility like this. It has asbestos in it, and that takes a lot of money if you want to actually renovate it. It just, there's no way. You have to have backers and stuff, and he tried.
Yeah.
But I think he was definitely hitting a brick wall when it came to the Clovis downtown people who were in charge of that. So they gave him an ultimatum on a set date to renovate, and he couldn't do it. And
he even tried to have it moved. There was a big sign out there saying, $99,000, you move it. And somebody could have had a haunted house, but they would have still got all the asbestos and all
Right.
that, because it was
So-
built a long time ago.
yeah.
you know.
So yeah, they tore it down, and bummer. And this happened on Saturday. Now, what's weird about this, guys, is when they were tearing it down, almost at the very end, a swarm of bees attacked the workers, and they had to shut down the demolition. Which is kind of weird. All of a sudden bees attack. Like the Amityville Horror. You have flies and stuff like that. And I posted that on my website and on Facebook saying, "Hey, the gates of hell has opened up," and these bees came out and just So they had to shut down everything, and I think they called in a beekeeper to come in to retrieve the bees, because you don't want to kill the bees right now, man, because bees are dying off.
Yeah.
And so bees are very. You can't just go in and kill the bees. So
So
now,
you think like now that that's gone, you think whatever's attached, is it going to go with the wood that got knocked out, or is it going to stay with the land, and then whatever they build there is going to be haunted?
Stays with the land.
It stays with the land, huh?
Stays with the land.
Yeah.
I think so too, but I just wanted to throw the question out, but some people think that, once you tear it all down, it's all gone,
Right.
but-
No, I think you're right, Emerald.
What happens is if something, I don't know if you can still hear me, but
Just like that.
if something were to be built on there, or if people like go there, technically those things they could latch on, and then you're stuck going home with them.
Yeah,
Depending how attached they are to the land.
Like
Right.
how whenever they were selling stuff, a lot of people bought things, out of the house and brought it home.
We did. We bought
Yeah.
we bought two things. You know that IV holder?
Oh God.
That is from there. And there's a photograph of actually a painting. It's I don't want to say a mural, but it's a wall of I think a werewolf. It's about this big, and we use it for Halloween. It's just like a portrait. That was from there as well.
Oh, so it wasn't like an original.
Well, actually, the IV stand was. Yeah, that was actually original because they actually probably had IVs put in the patients. Yeah. Yeah. Now, from what I understand, too, on eBay, he's selling some stuff from there. I haven't seen it yet or where. Maybe Emerald can do some research and see if there's anything in there that's for sale, or I don't know for how long. But there was a gurney in there. Now, let me tell you what happened. On Saturday, while it was being... on Friday or Thursday. It was on Thursday. My actually ex-boss, who I still work with him, but I moved to another crew, so he's not my supervisor anymore. His name is Bob. I'm not going to give you the last name. He knows what I do because I used to be in this crew for a long time and used to work with him before I became a supervisor. And so he was driving down, Clovis Avenue and saw all the mayhem and stopped on his own. And he got down and he walked in, and Todd Wolf was there. And he asked him, "Hey, Todd, can you mind if I take some pictures before you knock it down?" And he said, "Sure." So my ex-boss, Bob, started taking some photographs. I have the photograph that I want to show you, one in particular, but I want to get him on the phone really quick. Go ahead and get him on the phone, because I want just make sure because like I said, when I have stuff to show you, I can't see.
That's what we're seeing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh. When I have stuff to show you, it's I want you to hear it come from the person who took it or where it's coming from, because I can make up stories all day, and I don't want to do that. So just type in the number, and if it rings and if he answers it, I'll talk to him straight to. You're not going to say anything to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll be quiet.
So he doesn't know I'm calling him, you guys.
Just being mean.
We're sneak calling.
That's good. Let's see if he answers.
Hello, this is Bob.
Hey, Bob, this is Jeffrey Gonzalez.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Good. Hey, just to let you know, I got you on the air.
Oh, fine, Jeff.
I just wanted everybody to hear your voice and just for you to say that you were the one who took these photographs.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
My wife asked me to go by and take some for her.
Oh, really? Okay.
I wasn't really planning on going by.
All right. And
She had me go by and took the pictures.
right on. And Todd Wolf was there, and he let you go in, right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I haven't.
Todd was there. Todd was there, let me go in, and then the next time I went over, it was all locked up, but they let me go in again and take some more pictures.
Oh, did you
wow.
get anything?
No, on the second time, I didn't see anything.
Okay. Because I haven't showed anybody the photographs yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. As soon as I get, I just want everybody to hear your voice and say that, because I know these pictures are genuine, and I don't want to people think that I made these things up. But no, you took the photographs, and right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show them. So I just wanted everybody to hear your voice, and thank you very much for coming on the air, Bob.
Okay, Jeff. They can look on my Facebook page, too. Those are posted.
Those are posted on there? Okay, right on. All right, thanks, Bob.
All right, you're welcome,
Okay,
Jeff.
see ya.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay, now what I'm going to do is he took a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And one in particular that came out, you guys. Now, Emerald is going to talk about, she has... Okay, well, and let me just put, I'm just going to throw one up really quick. Let's go with this one. All right, now that one is just, again, right now, it is just a room with the gurney. God, I want that gurney so bad. I'm pretty sure that's probably on eBay, and it's probably going for $1,000 probably.
That's been on so many TV shows.
But that gurney would look awesome on the set.
Yeah.
It would look bitching with that.
I could lay on it every week.
that gurney would look awesome on the set. Okay, so there's one photograph that he took, and nothing came up. It was just a photograph with nothing in it.
I should have been laying down right here.
And here's another photograph, and it looks to be from, I think it's downstairs. Oh, no. There's Mary's room. I think that's Mary's room right there on the right-hand side, you guys. That's Mary's room. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it, but I'm going to say yes.
Hard to tell because it's all tore up.
It's all tore up
already.
So, yeah. I've only seen pictures of it. I was never allowed to go in there.
I went in one time in it, but it was all a haunted house.
Well,
you couldn't tell.
Well, yeah, I went in there once to purchase those 2 items. So
you couldn't tell where you were or anything. There's people jumping out at you.
Oh, the haunted house.
Yeah,
So,
it was scary.
Okay, here is another photograph that he took. All right, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a photograph, and Bob, that Friday morning at 7:20 when I was walking across the parking lot, he was waiting for me at the door, with the door open, and he was looking at me. I'm going, what, Bob, what? And he goes, Jeff, come here. And he took me into his office. He goes, look, and he told me the whole story just like he shared with us tonight. And he goes, check this out. And he showed me, where is it? This one. Okay.
Yeah, see, now that looks like something's in that to me.
Yes, that one. See? No, Emerald.
reflection.
Well, Emerald seems to think it's just lights.
It's the reflection off the source of light in the corner, in the
Okay.
upper left corner.
Okay. All right. But here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom in on it by placing another photograph.
That's okay, I got the same picture.
Okay, I know.
Are you sending them to the DM?
I already sent.
She is on it. Okay, do you guys see this right here? It's like the corner. Okay, what do you guys chat? What do you guys think? Obviously, there is a delay, a big time delay. We have to.
It's from the light source. It's the light source.
See, this is where we're at. Oh, well.
Because if you look at it, I could find Mickey Mouse right underneath the light source.
No, you're smoking crack.
No, I don't. I'm a crim student. I can't afford it.
Okay, meth. All right. Yeah, God, what a delay that is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
The
pretty
big time delay. So, okay. Well, anyways, here it is. I'm circling it with the arrow. Right there. See, but look, this is what I see, man. And don't
they
tell me
see an
bullcrap.
alien in it.
Huh?
They seen an alien.
That's what I see. I'm looking at an alien too.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there it is. Here's the head. Here's the head. Here's the body. There's the knee. Then it comes. There's the foot right there. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to,
Yeah, because I see the legs too.
you see the legs, and
yeah.
it's like it's bent in the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah. It's Michael Jackson doing the Thriller.
Mickey Mouse is right under the light source.
Whatever.
Look, there's Mickey Mouse.
Smoking crack.
See?
What?
Oh yeah, I see.
See?
Yeah.
It's the light source.
Well, you know what? Mickey Mouse is dead. I think he was actually treated here.
They deemed him crazy. He was in there for years.
All right, now see, I mean, and you guys see that right there, guys? Okay. All right, what I'm doing is I'm showing it to you because even Bob saw it and said, "Hey, look at that. Can it be an image done with the lights?" Sure, it can. It very well can be, but doggone it, it looks like a skeleton body formation.
Did he take like a couple of them in a row, and then there was none in the other one?
No, I think he just took one here and moved on. So,
that would be a drag because if we had like a couple that he took,
sure,
then it would
well,
be really good.
but see, you really can't use that because it was there and now it's gone. If it was the spirit, or you know what I'm saying,
right?
So, I am just showing this to you guys. All right, I am showing this to you guys so that way you guys can just go, "Whoa, that is very cool." Nah, I'm with Emerald on this. I'm here to show you stuff that you have never seen before because this is what I'm all about. Whether it's it's not what we think it is, but come on, look. I mean, I'm looking at that. I'm going. I looked at that when he showed me on the laptop in his office. And I went, holy smoke, dude. And Bob is not a. He would not go in and put something there. Matter of fact, he said when he went home and showed his wife said, "Go show it to your friend now. Go show it." So there it is. I'm just showing it to you guys. You guys tell me what you think.
Light source.
Emerald seems to think it's a light source, and it very well could be. But I think that's just cool. I mean, I could see. Look at the back leg like this. Here.
I could see what you're saying.
The foot.
But again, it's like.
What are the odds of a light source to make a body? There's a hand. I see the arm right there, and there's the head. I see a nose.
I see Mickey Mouse.
Look, this one looks like kind of like a skeleton looking
Okay.
kind of thing.
I mean, come on, guys. That is very cool. All right, that is very stinking cool. Whether it's a light source or not, I don't know. But
Regardless, we don't have enough evidence to.
Well, no, absolutely not. And what I'm doing is I'm showing it to you guys so that way you guys can see it. All right, and you guys make up your own decision. I think it's just freaking cool.
It's actually shooting the bird at you. Whoops.
And the reason why I showed it to you guys is because we know where it came from. I know who took the photograph. I know he didn't, Photoshop it or do anything like that. And there you go. All right.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it's saluting you.
So 3.
Saluting the cameraman.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
right,
looks
ready to
just
go.
like it.
So all right. So there you go. I just wanted to show you guys that. I think that is awesome. And to come from somebody that we know who shot it, and that was my boss. So, from what I understand, a car's parked out in front, and I think our guests have arrived, which is fine. I think my wife is going to bring him in, and they're going to go from there. So, get Emerald a mic. I know. So you have to talk on the. You want?
I'm like right on this microphone.
Okay, do me a favor. Talk on that side. Yeah, talk there.
Hello.
No. Talk in the mic. You have to really get up in front of the mic. I know, guys. Danny says get Emerald a mic. I know. But
I think that one's like directional, where you have to speak straight into the front tip of it.
Just don't want to hear me.
No. I'll get you a mic next time for sure. but unfortunately, right now, or fortunately, we have 2 guests that are going to be coming in here pretty soon. That's why I had to get the good mics out so that way you can actually hear them. I know we want to hear you, trust me. But so, all right. I want to talk about, and man, did I get thrashed on this subject. My cousin of all people, his name is Greg, last name Gonzalez, took a photograph of St. Mary's Church in Sanger, and it's the hall, the St. Mary's Church hall. And you guys all know we talk about Illuminati and the triangle and the logo with the all-seeing eye. And when we talk about that, you know that the rock stars and the actors all wear the actual symbol. And they do the actual, the triangle, and they hold it up, and a lot of the rock stars do it, and they wear things like that represent the all-seeing eye. And a lot of people seem to think that's the Illuminati symbol, the New World Order, or even worse than that, possibly satanic, okay? Because a lot of the rock stars that are showing these symbols, obviously they're doing it for a reason. Okay, and
so you think maybe they're doing it like religiously,
and they have to, because they are so into where they're at as far as being famous now, and I mean so famous that they are told they have to put out this, the symbol and show people who we are, the Illuminati, and so forth. Well, and but from what I understand too, that it also, because the Freemasons use the same symbol, and it's on the back of the dollar bill.
And they run the Illuminati.
Okay, well, see, and that's where I'm going with this. But they're saying that, and the Catholic religion, if you do research on it, it says that it is the actual symbol of God.
Yep.
The triangle with the eye in the middle. Okay.
And you know what that is? I actually was doing some research on that.
Okay.
Almost, I'm saying almost because it's only a small percentage of every church. If you drive around and you look at churches, they're all triangles. They're all like pyramids.
Oh, I didn't think
They're
about
built like pyramids. I mean, everywhere you look, and some of them even have the eye, the place where the eye goes with a little eye in it. But I mean, you have to really look. But you could see the pyramid shape almost in every church and every denomination too. It's weird.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That tripped me out.
Here is the symbol that my cousin took, and it's at the very top. There it is. It's the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. And he showed that to me. He goes, Jeff, look. Now, I used to, before the big church at St. Mary's at the corner of North and Bethel was built. This was the hall, and this was actually where we had mass. Okay, at the hall. And I've never noticed it, only because I never came in on this side. I came in on the other side. But back then, I wasn't really, when I was growing up in elementary school and junior high, I wasn't into the all-seeing eye and stuff. So it didn't mean absolutely nothing to me.
Even if you saw it, you're like,
okay, whatever. It's a symbol. Yeah. Okay. Now,
for me, I would be like, I don't even want to be here. I wouldn't even be looking.
See, but it's just okay. But what happened is, when I posted this on my Facebook wall, I got thrashed by some of my relatives. They were going, "What are you doing, making fun of the church?" I'm going, "I'm not making fun of the church." I said, "I want to know what the symbol is all about," because in the Catholic Church, we're known to worship Jesus, because there's the cross that everybody, it's a symbol basically. But if you really think about it, it should be that we should worship who we think put us here, and that's God, the God. And if that's the case, then why is the symbol of God so small? Why is it so tiny? Shouldn't it be?
It's at the top of a very big base of huge.
No. But this particular one here is only what, a foot by foot. It's only 12 inches by 12 inches on the hall. Why is it so small? Then somebody went on the internet and found a photograph of the new church at St. Mary's, where I used to go to, and I just don't go anymore because I moved to Fresno. And I'm going to show it to you right now.
Wow, that's big.
Okay. Now look at, does everybody see that right there?
Yep, and there's your triangle. The all-seeing eye, and then you have your triangles. And
I never noticed it, only because I don't look for this type of stuff. I would not expect to see this on a Catholic church. But there you have a triangle or a pyramid, sort of kind of with a round circle. What I think it's a symbol of the all-seeing eye.
It is.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I'll have to go back and do some research, and on another show, I'll bring some pictures and we'll show some of all the different denominations with that.
Okay. Now, you guys, I'm not thrashing Catholic religion because I grew up Catholic and I believe in God. Oh my God. So don't think I don't believe in God, because my cousin Vanessa was thrashing me thinking that I was going to the other side and worshiping Satan and all that kind of stuff. Bull crap.
That is just like total stereotypical Catholic fear.
Exactly. And I couldn't believe. I'm going, really? I mean, she was thrashing me.
Yeah, well, I'm not Catholic or nothing, but only the first thing I see is a statue with an idol statue with then the God thing on the top of it. Which God is that?
Okay.
So, I mean that's coming from a not Catholic.
Okay, right.
Though,
now, so there you go. You have at the Catholic Church, the new Catholic Church, which I'm pretty sure Vanessa probably didn't even know that was there. And I'm pretty sure every person who attends that church has never really put two and two together.
I bet it scares the out of them.
Yeah, and that probably scared Vanessa, my cousin.
They're probably like, "Oh my God, we're not devil worshippers or whatever." You know what I mean? It would be like personally taken.
But then you get people like Jay-Z,
right? Yeah,
and Katy Perry, my girlfriend. And
Beyonce,
other rock stars, Lady Gaga, whatever her face is,
Lady Doggy,
and they all do this with the symbol, and look, the all-seeing eye. But we are known to us who are, in the paranormal world, conspiracies or whatever, that's the Illuminati symbol. There it is. All right. Now, our buddy Eddie Chavez actually went and looked up, I believe it was the Vatican, and found the triangle with the all-seeing eye that they have at the Vatican in certain locations.
Yeah.
Okay, it's there, guys. So, if is that really God? Well, because we don't know what God is.
True.
Okay, God to us is just something that placed us here, that we all believe in, who believes in the higher power. Okay, but when you think of God, when I was growing up, I thought of God. When I closed my eyes, I thought of God of an old man, white beard, and on a chair with a like a king would be. That's who I always thought God would represent. But that sure sounds like the mythological, like Zeus,
and Odin, and
all that. That's
yeah.
what it looks like, right? Now we're talking mythological and ancient, and so what if all that stuff is real?
I think all of it is real. I think the Zeus and the Odins and all them guys, I think they're real. In fact, they know where. I think it's Zeus. Isn't he the one with the one eye? Or is it Odin that had the one eye?
I don't know. Emerald would know more than I would.
Get
closer.
One of the
It's not Zeus.
one of the gods has one eye, right? And then he died, and they know where he's buried at. Now, if he's God's,
why would he be dead?
Why did he only have one eye in the first place? And then how did they know where he's buried at?
Each of the gods, like if we're talking mythological, because I like mythological, and that's what religion turns into after it's done.
Right.
They all had their flaws.
Yeah.
So each one of them had like Achilles. I mean, he had his heel. I mean, the whole love triangles. Like they all had a weak point.
Right. Now I got another photograph up on.
I think
right
they're
now.
actually like the fallen angel thing, offspring.
Okay.
So they were like the men of renown, and they had superpowers, and only because they were like part angel, but
Right.
they were still mortal, right? Not immortal.
Well,
Their flesh was mortal,
Well, that'd be contradicting a lot of the stories they had about them.
except for that they ate each other and stuff like that.
Well,
Like,
Hercules was the only one that was considered mortal in the beginning.
but he was still half human, half.
Yeah, but he didn't. Later on, he wasn't like. I don't know how to
Every time we talk about like the half human stuff, I always think of Cher, like half breed. I know, but only I don't know why, but I always that. Yeah, see, it's still trying to shut me off too.
Take the whole case. You know how to take it off, Jeremy? Can you take it off from? All right, we are back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to
rebuild the computer,
Paranormal
but I
Central.
can't mess with
We
the
are we got our guest in, and one of our guests is doing some iPad work over here, which is awesome. That's what we're all about.
Is that what it is? These little plants?
Yeah, so for some reason the iPad seems to be shutting off. So, okay, well, let me introduce you to our guest. We have Kathy Omachi.
Hi, good evening.
Go ahead, talk right up to the front. Oh, you want it on? Okay, go for it.
That's me with things not turned on. Yay. Good evening.
Kathy, tell us about you. Where are you from, and what do you do? And spill it.
That's because Jeremy's doing the iPad jiggle. Born and raised in the Valley, actually raised in the city of Reedley. But for about the last 40 years, I've been doing community organizing, community work. And in the main one I've been working with now is Fresno Chinatown. My dad was born and raised for part of his youth in Fresno Chinatown. And this is my way of just thanking him for being one of the pioneers there. But the other one is that I work on the preservation of the ag and repairing area for the Kings River. And then I chair the Reedley Hospital Board that we're just about through bankruptcy and kept everybody on board and paying everybody 100 cents on the dollar. Wow. So other than that, I have a short-term memory. I don't stay focused very long.
I say you're busy. Wow. Okay. Jeremy, spill it. What do you do?
Well, is this working?
Is there an on button? Maybe.
Should be when you
Take Kathy Kathy's for now.
Okay, now I got it now. I got it. Give it to him now.
Are we there?
Yeah, we got it.
You can hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, my name is Jeremy Brownstein. I'm the board chair for the Fresno Chinatown Revitalization Inc. nonprofit. I've been involved with the organization for about 4 years now. Down in Chinatown for about 5 years. I was just captivated by so many interesting things that are down there that are just unique to Fresno, unique to the world almost, in a sense, with the amount of diversity, with the people who founded that area and the history of it throughout the years. And it continues to interest me with individuals that I'm meeting. I'm a social worker, a mental health clinician with the County of Merced, and a recent graduate of Fresno State. And yeah, that's about it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wow,
Cool deal. All right.
So you go back and forth from Fresno to
I do. The commute.
Merced?
Yep.
Right on. Okay. Now, Kathy. Wow, we have a lot to talk about tonight. I heard about. I want to say I got involved with you guys because we actually we took part of the China downtown parade.
Chinese New Year's parade.
A couple times. And then since a while now, I heard about tunnels, and people were saying they're just myth. They don't exist.
Right.
Obviously, we know what's underneath a lot of the businesses. There's very large basements.
Correct.
Right. And but there are many of them have walls that look like they were boarded up and placed with brick and wood. Have you ever, taken down any of these?
Well, we're not able to take those down. Although it's interesting, when you look at a wall, you could see in the original brickwork that was done, it's an archway and that it had been a doorway. But over the years, they've been blocked up to keep people from entering other people's storage areas. So we really can't take them down since we don't own that property.
Oh.
And one thing we really do is respect people's rights and making sure that we're not overstepping our bounds as being good neighbors to folks.
Have you ever asked them if you could possibly take down maybe just one or two, but afterwards put it back up?
That's something that's definitely come up with one of the buildings that we'll picture here, whereas the owners have actually stated that there is a pathway to a tunnel that leads across the train tracks into the Fulton Mall. And though he doesn't own the building anymore, he said that's where you want to open up because you'll find the tunnel that you need to prove that this isn't folklore anymore.
Right.
This isn't real.
Now, you were telling me that when they built Chancey Park, come on. Now, and the people, we're going to blow you away right now because, this is coming, not to take literally, but from the horse's mouth. All right? You guys probably have heard from people who pulled you aside, said, Kathy, I need to tell you what is happening over here, what we found over here. So you guys must have all the inside dirt on everything. And that's why I have you here. Because I want you to spill it. I don't want you to hold back. Do you understand? Okay. Tell everybody what you heard about Chancey Park. And let everybody know first, what is Chancey Park?
Well, I hate to call it a boondoggle, but no, Chancey Park is our stadium for minor league baseball. It could have been built for all sports, like soccer and concerts, but decisions were made to go with a private group, which is one of the things that the city of Fresno has tended to have a Vanna White syndrome, where if anything shiny goes across their path, they kind of swoosh over there.
Let's not forget Alan Autry's plan for a lake river downtown.
Oh, I heard
so
about
I'm
that.
glad we're not known as having the biggest outdoor restroom.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good. That's good.
With all the homeless down there,
Well, we do have to digress for a little bit because we were called, at one time, the city of Fresno, and stop me if I'm going off the charts, had a city manager, a gentleman that everyone knew that was in a wheelchair, had called myself and Tom Richards one Friday. He said, well, can you come to my office at 4 o'clock on Friday? And so I saw Tom Richards there, who has Penn Star and is now vice chair is vice chair also for the High Speed Rail. But so I'm looking at him going, do you know why we're here? And he said, no. They showed us all these plans that they had for part of the river walk that they wanted to go downtown to come over to Chinatown. And basically it was they were asking that I would talk to the board so that we wouldn't oppose the river going through down at the mall. And I said, so what are you telling us that you're offering? He said, well, we're thinking of putting down F Street, water treatment, I said, a treatment like a sewer? And they said, no, actually, and they spent money on all these plans. They were these graphics. It was just ridiculous. The thing was going to be like 2.5 feet wide, down F Street, make a sharp turn, kind of go over the railroad tracks and feed into or be part of the water feature on the mall. And so I said, well, how deep is this thing? He said, well, it's made about 6 inches. And I said, well, it doesn't make any sense to us why you would do that for Chinatown. I said, except there'll be 2 groups of people, there'll be 2 entities, they'll be happy for it. And he said, well, who? I said, well, the homeless and our dogs that are looking for water. But he said, homeless? I said, yeah, you could always wash your feet and do your clothes in there. So he said, you're not going to talk to the group? And he said, basically, we don't want you to oppose at City Council this Riverwalk. And I looked at him, I looked at Tom, I said, it really has nothing to do with us unless you can get the water going either down and back up under the railroad tracks or somehow over. It really makes no sense. And as you can tell, we don't have a river walk.
Yeah.
No, but now they're talking about tearing it out and putting a street back.
Yes.
Fresno gets stuck on that one-trick pony. You know, if we do this one thing, it's going to fix all of downtown.
Right.
And right now, it's the Fulton Mall, the opening up the Fulton corridor, as it said.
One thing, and we'll get back on the part about Chichansi, but they haven't ever come out in any of the papers, the newspaper, or any of the investigative reporters from 47 or 24, haven't asked to have all the plans, all the money that was laid out for, I think there's like 5 different plans that took place on setting up a community council. They had like 27 people on panel for all of the same studies for the mall. And what's happened is those studies, which were millions of dollars, the last one, have been shelved because it didn't come out the way that certain powers to be wanted it to come out. And now we've got this one plan, which unfortunately, unless the community group wants to take it further, has been shot down by the courts. But what can we say? I think they have a good plan of saying, think about it. Wow. Put the energy that you have in helping the businesses that are there. Because several years ago when, boy, I'm definitely not going to make any friends tonight's broadcast, but I was at a chamber meeting, and they said, well, Kathy, wink, wink, we have to change the complexion of the mall. I said, well, didn't you just have a study done saying that on weekends it generates about $2 million? And then a couple of the folks said, yeah, we need to change the complexion of the mall.
And there's actually a little known fact. The Bee published a couple months ago, I think about 6 months ago, that the Fulton Mall generates more tax dollars that actually feed back into the economy than Fashion Fair Mall.
What?
River Park.
What are they smoking?
They're trying to hide it.
I mean,
so that they can get what they want. You know what I mean? It's like a conspiracy.
Basically, they want
but the right show for this. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But you think about those larger areas, the malls and such. They have these huge tax breaks, so they can skirt tail around paying some taxes. But the businesses you have in Fulton Mall, most of them are mom and pop ones.
Right.
Yeah, they are.
Right.
And that money goes straight back in the economy. And they're getting threatened by opening the corridor because what's going to happen is you open it up, those property owners are going to say, hey, this is lucrative property. You either pay 3 times what you're paying now or get out. Mm-hmm. And if they get out, is anyone really going to want to... I mean, are we just going to have another river park downtown? Are people actually going to keep... And so, as far as it comes down to a complexion issue, you're getting rid of a large Hispanic shopping district that supports the local economy.
Right.
And surrounding areas that come into Fresno. Because we know that was lifeblood for Chinatown for years. It wasn't just the local folks, but all the surrounding communities that came into the area. But one of the things that, if we're talking about saying, I thought, if they're saying that to me, one, they don't see me as an ethnic person, or they just don't think I'm listening to what they're saying. And either way, I said, you guys aren't real bright. So... but that was leading into the Chichansi. When I first got here, maybe 92, a little bit after that, they took the city and the powers to be took about 600,000 plus out of our redevelopment funds and about $1.2 million from West Fresno's redevelopment funds to put the sewer line. So the sewer line came up from West Fresno down Tulare Street to go to the stadium. People in West Fresno had said, look, that's what we need for housing, business development, improvement of our infrastructure. And the judge said, well, the stadium is for the benefit of the entire community, and when it makes a profit, which should be soon, you will be paid back. That is now has outlived the entire redevelopment operations, and nobody has been paid back. We lost over $500,000 that could have helped with structures, with our roofing, with our electrical, with our plumbing, is gone.
Okay. So now when they put in Chichansi Park, obviously a lot of digging had to go. For those who don't know, Chichansi Park is, well, used to be the minor league baseball for the Giants, for the San Francisco Giants. But that, anyways, when this was built a long time ago, obviously you have to dig, and a lot of dirt has to be taken out to build a stadium. Jeremy was telling me that somebody found something. Now, how did you guys hear about this?
Kathy?
We had heard from, actually, the construction guy was, before he got in trouble with the city, because he had another construction job that he kind of didn't do too well.
Right.
But we knew that when they put the drain through, they had to dig through the middle of the street. And what the city of Fresno never told the company is that there are tunnels. And they actually dug over, crashed into a tunnel on the China Alley between F and G Street. And I remember looking down, and you could see underneath that there was like a cot and a table. And I thought, wow, and that was before we worked on a relationship with the police department, so I got chased off. 24 hours later, it was told by the gentleman who was in charge of the stadium to fill it in with slurry, put a huge metal plate down, and continue putting the storm drain through. So there was no stoppage for an archaeological review, none of that.
Now, this was on which side of the railroad tracks?
On the Chinatown Railroad side, right down Tulare Street, in between E and F. Wow. And so once it got through and they put the sewer line, the construction company was, they were building Chichansi, they were working on the grounds.
Okay, now, but didn't you take any pictures or anything of these?
No.
Oh.
What year was this, Kathy?
Oh, my gosh. They were still in the
90s.
building. Yeah. 90, when did I get here? 92, 3. It was pretty much in the, just as they were still starting to do construction. So we're talking about the 90s.
So what did you, so you found, or what you were looking at, was it a tunnel or was it a room?
They cracked into the top of what was a tunnel, and because they hadn't been told, they stopped.
Right.
And so you could look down, and there was down about, I'd say 15 to 20 feet. You could look down, and there was some furniture. You could see that it had cracked open the top of something.
Right.
And there was some furniture. It looked like someone had just walked away from it. But that got filled in with slurry, a metal slab, and the storm drain was put over it. So the thing is about 20 feet deep from there.
Wow.
So is Fresno like crazy or something? Like, do you know, like...
Not something, is.
I mean, there's other cities that have these things, and they make great tourism and,
Exactly.
and a draw.
Seattle,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
And
like, if they found a room with furniture in it, that would be turning into a commercial.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, fly over here and stay in this hotel and do our walk.
Yeah. And it goes back to the misdirection of City Hall, really. With Swearingen. If you open the Fulton Mall, that's all. But how is that
Pretty
unique?
Cool she didn't win, huh?
Oh, we're stuck with her for 2 more years, unfortunately. So I mean, seriously, do we need another river park downtown? Is that going to make Fresno unique? What will make Fresno unique is to uncover these historical
Absolutely.
pieces.
You imagine if all of a sudden you found miles and miles of these tunnels. Oh, God, people from all over the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now.
Yeah, but what if What if it's tied into a military?
Okay, see, that's where I want to go. All right.
Well, but if we're talking just to kind of finish up on the one with Chancey,
right.
when they were putting down some of the field, the construction people, noticed a lot of the water was just sinking right out of one section. So he instructed his crew, they dug up to see what was under there, and they broke into the top of a cavern, a very large section. And when they got down, he actually rappelled down, so we're talking pretty deep. Wow. There was a road that went through and a late model truck that was on the road facing Chinatown. They were
late model, like 90s model?
Well, no, subtract a bunch of numbers from that.
But
like
we're 50s or 40s?
Subtract some more numbers from that. Wow. We're talking really late model truck. He was ordered out by the guy who was in charge of Chancey, or the building of the place. He was ordered to get out of there. City came in, again, filled it with slurry, filled it with dirt overnight. Did not do any archaeological review of it. It is right field.
See, somebody should be arrested.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Now, I heard this story from Kathy when I first met her, and I was like, okay, Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy's losing her mind again.
What are you smoking, Kathy?
Now, there's been a big water project where they've been redirecting some water from a treatment plant or something of that sort through downtown. And we actually talked to the construction guy, jokingly, like, oh, have you found any tunnels? Well, turns out he was the one who found...
No.
So we actually know who he is, and we have his story, which is great. And so I called Kathy immediately, and I said,
"You're not
Kathy,
crazy."
I'm sorry.
And so that was very interesting.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you were telling me that there was... Now, if this is probably like 30, 40, 50 feet underneath, what he's talking, a large cavern? Okay.
He had to rappel down.
He had to rappel down. We're talking 1920s, 1930s?
Yeah, absolutely.
1920s, 1930s. I'm right?
About that time or older.
Okay, or older. What were they doing digging that far underground?
Oh, they were trying to figure out why the water was draining out of the area where it was going.
Right.
And it was going in the cavern.
But I'm trying to think.
And going through tunnels, apparently.
What were they doing that about
back in the days?
Then,
what was the
purpose for a cavern, a tunnel that big? Okay, now obviously people say that the tunnels were used for back in the days of, prohibition and all that. What do you think about that?
Well, the stories that we've heard from people, and there are people that are maybe my age or a little bit older that will tell you that they would go downstairs in one part of Chinatown and they would run through the tunnels all the way through the other end. And there are many people within the Fresno area that have that story, that are either Chinese or Japanese or Italian or from the Mexican-American community because of everybody that had businesses there.
Right.
But what we know that they've done in the first... And we've always thought that the basements that we found and give the tours on, and we've started our tours again under there, but that it's all with the concrete floor. So we've always suspected that there's a deeper section of the buildings. But once you look at the Chinatown area, what you see above ground is replicated underneath of these huge connected basements. And what the tunnels do is they actually connect the basements. So what they were able to do, rather than cart the stuff that they used to use, the slides that are still in our sidewalks to have the warehouse stuff go down, instead of taking them up the roundabout stairs, is they would just go across and take it to the next store, the next storage area. And because it was cooler, there were some places like where they dug into the top of the tunnel. People had lived there because it was much cooler and private. We have some stories from a gentleman whose father was a police officer and took him down there, and he said, "Shh, come over to the vent." And he said he could hear people talking and the sound of the little mahjong card tiles being played. And his father said, yeah, there was gambling down there. There was... They used to have, both for Chinese and Japanese community, what's known as cribs, or houses of ill repute, both above ground and below ground. So I know where my grandfather was before he sent off for my grandmother's a picture bride, because he had his pool hall in China Alley, which was right next to a bar and a house of ill repute. So that's knowing my grandfather or stories about him, that's where he was, because he used to wrestle in the sumo ring too that was there in Chinatown. But he was small. He'd have a nickname like Little White. So when he took off his clothes, he had like the farmer's tan from the neck up and a little loincloth. But after being thrown out, because they used to have sumo wrestlers coming from Japan, and Jeremy's been great with me, and Gina, all of our board, in saving some of the pictures that we've been able to save, some of them were just going into a dumpster. We've got quite a big collection of items. As Jeremy asked me, what have you saved now? And I said, well, but he used to, after the first couple of times of having his butt just thrown out of the ring, he would give money to his friends. They would bet against him. He would kind of run around trying not to be killed by the professional sumo wrestlers. And then when they said they had made the bets, he would wait for him to be just thrown out, and then they'd collect the money they'd bet against him.
That's funny.
But we get monthly, we get a few calls from people who just say, oh, my grandfather used to be a police officer down there. And they donate a lot of things to us. So I've picked up, poker chips and all kinds of things from just people who are like, I was a police officer down there. I used to go down there and gamble with a bunch of people. It's pretty amazing, some of the stories I've heard from people who are, I think the oldest person I've ever interviewed was 93. And his father was a police officer. And just amazing stories.
Now, you called me last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know how long ago. And I was just coming out of the grocery store. I got in. You called me, right? And all of a sudden you told me, hey, this is Jeremy with the Chinese renovation. And I went, oh, am I in trouble? Seriously, I thought I was in trouble because I showed those pictures on my show.
Yeah.
And that's how you heard about it. Somebody called you, said, hey,
there are pictures.
There's pictures, and which I showed last week, and I'll show them again right now. And then you called me, and I sent them to you, and I said, dude, there they are. And let me tell you how I got these. And you don't have the full story. I was at G and Kern, okay, catty corner from Central Fish, right across the street from the building that they're demolishing. And I worked for the phone company, AT&T, and I was doing work there. And the construction workers were on break, and there was a guy sitting down there, on lunch break. So I went up to him, and I said, hey, by any chance, I go, is that you working over there? And he said, yeah. And I go, did you guys happen to uncover any tunnels? And he looked at me, and he goes, yeah. I went, holy crap. Only because my buddy Danny Valderrama told me that he heard of a rumor that that's what happened. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And I go, do you think you can take me in there to go check him out? And he goes, no, I can't. But you might want to go talk to that guy over there. And I'm not naming any names or anybody because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So I went over there. And he said, no, I can't take you in there. So, well, here's my phone. Can you go over there and take me some pictures? And he did. That's where I got the photographs. But when I went back to the guy who I talked to first, he told me that they found a tunnel going underneath Tulare, and the other one was going toward the Central Fish. Okay, and that's what he told me. And he says, and then I asked him, I go, so do you do a lot of work around here? And he goes, yeah, we pretty much are the ones who do all the remodeling. And he goes to me, he goes, that shopping center on Fresno where the Panda Express and the Burger King and the Rite Aid? He goes, we did that. We demolished all the houses. When we were demolishing those houses, we caved in on some tunnels. And they were told to put sandbags on them and cover them up and continue on. But he says there were tunnels all the way over there. Mm-hmm. You know how far that is from Chinatown?
Yeah.
You're talking almost a mile, 2 miles. All right? So what the hell are there tunnels all the way over there? Now, let's think about this. You're on the oldest part of Fresno. You have Kearney Boulevard. You have, Kearney Mansion. Not Kearney Mansion. What's that? The big Kearney Boulevard. What's the big haunted facility out there? The park. Kearney Mansion.
Kearney
Mansion. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
You got it right.
Okay. And then you have Chandler Airport with our military there. Okay. So, this is where I'm going with this.
What, Hammerfield or something.
Right. Okay. Hammerfield. I have a feeling the reason why all these tunnels are there and added on, and I think our military is involved somehow. What do you think?
See, we have a story
Yeah.
that we got, I don't know, 2 years ago, or maybe a little longer, where out Shepherd, way out. I mean, we're talking Shepherd and 168 right now. The guy's grandfather would be playing out there, and then go in a tunnel and come out in Pinedale.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, and that's miles.
We're talking.
That is miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you go and discover
But then
a tunnel with a truck in it.
At Pinedale
I mean,
was
come on.
actually an internment camp, I think,
Right.
for
Right.
for the
Japanese.
Japanese internment camp. So I mean, it makes sense that there might be something right there. And then there was another guy that we go out there, and there's actually a lot of UFO activity out at this place, the Dykes or whatever, Shepherd. And then some guy goes out there, and then he's finding drums, and he took pictures of them and sent them to us. They're chemicals. And he actually saw military helicopters landing out there and everything, went over there, and then he was finding these drums with chemicals. And they would be in the area of where all the UFO activity and the tunnels that go. And, you know, and then I was telling Jeffrey when I was a kid, we used to be way back. I mean, and this would be back when of the truck model year that you're talking about. They have tunnels all the way into the way back in the mountains that you know, the wide enough to drive 2 or 3 semi trucks through. And I mean, they're back there where it's hiking to get there, and they were made like late 1800s, early 1900s.
Now,
And they're for miles back there too.
Yeah.
And now they tell us, oh, that's just the water project. Right? That's what they tell us.
Now, I've had a couple of people, because of what we talk about here, call me, and one in particular was right where the cemetery is on Belmont, on the west side, where the Japanese cemetery is at. Okay, they actually uncovered some actual tunnels over there in that area. All right.
So we're like in a honeycomb. We're on top of a honeycomb.
Okay, and when they found it, because they were out there screwing around and playing, right away the city came and dumped dirt on it and covered it up, and boom, that was the end of that. But right there, that's still owned by the U.S. government, only because that's where they had the Japanese internment camps again in that area for the Tillman and I don't know what the other streets are, Tillman and I don't remember, but there is government. They actually had government signs on there, U.S. government, but when I mentioned it on the air, I went back last week and they were gone.
Yeah, you actually had pictures of it and put it up and said, this is, you know, and the windows are all boarded up, but there was new trucks out there.
Yeah.
And they were in there. And then the next time you went out there.
Now, yeah, the reason why this interests me a great deal is because we have heard from people about tunnels underground leading from up in the mountains all the way to Fresno.
Right.
Okay. And I think that the so-called myth of the tunnels is not a myth. They're actually there. And that's why I wanted you to come in, because I want to work with you guys and I want to go and find these things. And boy, I tell you right now, the people in government right now, our city council, everybody's probably sitting down watching us and they're going, oh no.
Well, that's an interesting part about why isn't there actually a tunnel study done for the entire area to see if there are connections, what they were used for, what parts have historic nature. But there is such a resistance because we get a report from, or the tunnel that you found, High Speed Rail folks said, well, it's of historic nature, but really not, and so it doesn't really prove anything, and we're going to fill
Hardly
it.
has structural integrity,
Right.
which if it was built, in 1906, and it's still there, and it's had a train running, 20 feet away for how many years?
Yeah.
How many cars have passed over it? It's still there.
It's still intact.
It's
Okay,
still
so right
intact.
now I'm showing
Well, you
one
know-
of the tunnels. Okay.
There's also another.
Wow.
There's
Huh?
another thing that we've heard, and then I researched into it, and this might like blow you away a little bit. I mean, this one gets really out there. Supposedly, under Fresno is like a well-known thing for years that there's this reptilian race living under the.
So now we're really
Under the
getting into
Fresno.
the conspiracy stuff.
That or they're on council.
I have
That wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me.
I'm going to throw you guys a bone. Something I heard in high school.
Go for it.
I knew a girl, and her mother was a FBI agent.
Sweet.
Okay, here we go.
And so she's telling me, my mother's learning Arabic right now because, it had just been 9/11 and they're getting all this additional training. Well, her daughter told me that there was a FBI headquarters, sub-headquarters underneath the security bank.
I would not doubt it.
Me either.
Only because security bank is there. Where he was telling you about the levee at DeWolf and Shepherd, okay? We had actually a TV crew come down and did a show called Chasing UFOs, and we happen to have gotten on film a white suspicious van decked out like for surveillance, right? Well, somebody told me, because after they saw that van, they said, hey, I've seen that van underneath park at the FBI or CIA underground at the Fresno City down underground. Okay, so the reason why they are messing with you guys and messing with us is because these tunnels that they found or dug out or whatever a long time ago, they're still using them. Okay, they are still using them for something else and for their purpose. I don't know what it is. All right, but that's why they're messing with you guys. They're telling us this tunnel was a conveyor system to move raisins from one end to the other end, because that's what you sent me.
That's what
right?
we were told by the authority.
Okay,
yeah.
and then I'm looking at the freaking dates on there. We're talking 1906, and I'm looking at this. I'm going, you know how much time and effort? Why would you put a freaking tunnel to move raisins from one place to the other? That's stupid, right? That's just. I mean, the paperwork that I got that you sent me, they could have easily made that up on freaking Photoshop and just sent it to you. So my wife was laughing. He goes, really? Conveyor belt to move raisins. Moving raisins. All right. So
I don't even think there's that many raisins out here then. they were doing onions and stuff like that.
Right. But see,
cotton.
And because I didn't tell you about the tunnel going underground to the Central Fish going westbound, right? They only sent you the tunnel information going underneath, going northbound.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right? Now, why didn't they show you that other tunnel going this way? They should have, but they didn't.
No.
Because I didn't say anything. That's the reason why I didn't say anything, because that guy told me. Now, right now, they're going, oh! But, see, there are a lot of tunnels under Fresno. And you guys might think it's just the west side. No, it goes way further east. I mean, it goes way further east.
Well,
Maybe
one
from
of
the
the
mountains.
We're in the
east.
mountains east.
One of the interesting ones now, that if they want to put driving on the Fulton Mall, one of the gentlemen, when I was on a committee on the downtown area, was taking us on a tour of one of the buildings. It's the one that has a sort of orange or yellowish kind of trim onto it. He said, let me take you down to the basement. He said, this is where the big safe was. And we thought, wow. And he said, and then you go through that door. And he said, it leads to one of the tunnels going to Chinatown. And I looked at him for a minute. I said,
wait. What building is
it's
this?
one of the big buildings that's on the
Union
mall.
Bank? Is
It
the
might have
Union
been one
Bank?
of. It's now used either in immigration or, I'm just trying to think
Okay.
of the building. But he was saying that what he had heard, and this was a guy who was managing the building,
Right.
is that they were used for when the folks were going to the gambling area or the houses of ill repute. That when they were going to be raided, the folks that didn't want to be found there would go under the tunnels and pop up in the big buildings on Fulton Mall. So it had been common knowledge that that's what they were used for, and they could travel through there.
That's cool.
Okay.
But then you also have people from the city saying, oh, no. But there are the Sanborn maps, which are the fire maps. There are the people's stories cannot be discounted. And that's one thing that we would really hope that your program and the folks out in the community help us to gather the stories. We've started with Dr. Chris Clark from Fresno State to start taping, to do some of the oral stories. But the more that people say, this actually is what we know, our families, we have pictures, that's the kind of evidence that everybody else, the city and High Speed Rail, are trying to poo-poo and say, doesn't matter. They're all imagining things, and they're not.
It's disheartening too because the council finally passed that they were going to spend $1 million on creating plans for their high-speed rail station that's never going to come to fruition. When they could invest that money into actually investigating these things, because like we were talking about earlier, where else on the West Coast can you go into these types of tunnels?
Okay. And you've lived here a while. I've lived here all my life. Fresno has always been the butt of the jokes, okay, on movies and in TVs. For some reason,
Well,
they
we
don't
quit bending over. Yeah.
boom, boom. If you know,
That they just make us like that in the movies. See, we really don't do that, but only in the movies they show us like that.
I mean,
Because there are some excellent people. They're wonderful long-term families. They're great businesses, but they're the ones that never get featured. They're always the ones at the sticky end of the stick because they're not flashy. They're not.
You know what we need is we need somebody that has a building over there to make a room so that we can make a little museum thing. And then we'll do a field trip over there and
Well, that's what we're
take
trying to work
cameras
on
and
right
stuff.
now.
Really?
Yeah, because we actually have in our office, it's / a storage of just artifacts, things that, we found things that were made in like the early, like 1904. We have these Chinese sculptures made out of wood that were found outside laying against a trash can, splitting in the rain. And we have this. And so we get these things from you, but
It's the only
that's
one in the
something we're
valley.
working on. We started when redevelopment went under. We lost our major funding source,
Right.
and so right now we've actually gotten through with a few property owners, and they're now allowing us to do these tours so we can raise money, so we can actually open a small gallery to put a lot of these items out there.
Very
One
cool.
of those businesses that's letting you in should put a little corner, even just a little spot.
well,
It'll
I
start
got
out
a feeling
like
they
that,
have so much more than a little spot.
But I mean, that's how you start, and
Right.
then that draw. If they think of it like marketing,
Yeah.
that makes a draw to their
Oh,
business.
people will
and they'll
come. Build it
they'll
and they
actually
will
make
come.
money
I think
from,
that's a
that,
good idea. That's a
you know.
great idea.
Build it and they will come.
And these tours, we're
And
doing
then
our
what does the city do then?
yeah.
That
They
you're
can't
in a
deny.
meeting
Yeah.
oh well you just bust out some pictures or a video of what you have set up right
Yeah.
there, and then they have to backtrack.
Yeah.
And then they ignore us.
The interest in
I
these
don't know. It would, they might follow you with the white van. No, I'm just kidding.
but the interest in the tours, it's out of here. So we set up our first tour in October, and it sold out in 2 days. I mean, there's only 20 spots we allow in the tour, but we sold out of that tour. And then after the tour passed, 48 hours past that, we sold out the next one. So we haven't announced the December tour yet, but we might have to have two.
I think so.
Yeah, that's on our
think so.
website,
Okay.
FresnoChinatown.com.
See, people are interested in this type of stuff.
FresnoChinatown.com. You guys hear that? Fresno Chinatown.
It redirects to our Facebook, and that's where you can get all these updates.
Cool.
Just for some of the things, we're a nonprofit. We've started different events mainly to have people come back to the area. Because when I first came back, you had the tourist bureau handing out to tourists this sheet of paper that said, "Do not go to Chinatown, it's dangerous."
Right. Yeah.
We had people with the news saying, "You have these hobos," but what turned it around for us was that we were working with the community, and we've done a couple of things. We had worked with facts to establish the first bus line through the Chinatown area in 40 years. We've established a parade that had not taken place for about 45, almost 50 years, and it grew from 4 entrants and maybe about 50 people to last year under Jeremy's chairmanship and Howard Wong, who's also one of our board members. We had like 35, 37 entrants and over 2,000 people coming without an incident. We've had jazz concerts. We've had, but we were also worked very hard to get the parking meters that the city in its great decisions had put in over 300 parking meters when the stadium was being built, and they put them around empty lots and a few other things. And so I had a running fight with the guy who was in charge at that time before he lost his job for being
Skimming off
inappropriate.
the-
Yeah, but he had said in one meeting that why they put those parking meters before we were told Chinatown, you're going to get lots of benefit from the stadium.
'cause they don't want people going there.
People are going to come over, and so some of our businesses said, okay, well, we need to support it. Nothing, because when they put up the parking meters, it was to control the leakage from the city lots.
Yep.
So what I had said for the next year and a half at meetings was that Chinatown was a Pampers for the stadium. And so I was not real popular in those meetings. But when we finally got them taken out, of course, some of our folks would hit them with a car and take out the money. But they were over, you see the parking meters go drug down the street. And we'd just wave going goodbye.
That's not just in Chinatown.
Well, yeah, but
That's
but they didn't have people encouraging them going, tie it around the top and they'll pull out. But
we are not encouraging
we're
people
not
to do that.
encouraging-
Not at all. No, we're just telling you what's happening.
But
all right?
but if you have a chain instead of a rope, but they had over half of the meters. Boy, you guys, I'm not going to be invited to City Hall again. But over half of the meters never had a dime put in them.
Right, yeah.
But what the city expended were hiring people, buying the new equipment, training them, and after about a year and a half, they stopped going because there was no money meetings. But what happened is the people who would come, we had one gentleman who came in his boat Cadillac, blue, baby blue, little man. He would come in from the outline area, go have his bowl of noodles, get his hair cut, and then that was his day out. He had gotten 3 tickets. He came in to the folks and said, I can't come back. I can't afford this. And he has subsequently passed, but that's how it affected us on the ground when other people make those decisions for us.
Well, yeah. They're trying to they are trying to make it hard for you guys.
Yeah.
They are. They're making it hard for you guys, man.
Well,
And there's got to be a reason.
yeah.
There's a reason.
High speed
Okay.
rail.
Well,
No.
there has to be a reason, because let's look at this logically. You guys have already hit on it. The tunnels themselves would produce so much revenue.
Yeah, they
So
would. Yeah.
just to open them up, but because of whatever they have down there is more pro than what you guys would do, they're trying to hide something.
They're trying to hide something.
Obviously, because
Well, they don't want
know
anybody to
so
run
much
into a
stuff.
lizard.
No, shit.
You know?
Regardless of the lyrics, I'm like way against you on the lizard crap. but
Okay.
I just haven't
Let's look at this
found
from a historical viewpoint.
Right.
They're hiding these old school trucks. They're hiding this furniture. So like I said, they're like Jeff said, they're using these tunnels for something because they don't want anybody else in there.
Absolutely.
And here's one theory about the tunnels.
Okay.
About why they exist, outside of what we already know. I mean, if we look back on Chinatown, we like to say we're on the wrong side of the tracks, but that really defines Chinatown, because what you had was when a lot of ethnic groups came to the Central Valley, they came to Fresno, they were stuck south of the tracks. They could not go north. They couldn't go over there and buy things. They would, they would be killed by mobs, by individuals. There was this fear, this xenophobic fear. And so it's not out of question to think that there were these pathways so business owners could still give business to these people who would, go underneath. And we have documented, I was able to review some of the old Fresno Bee articles from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and they speak a lot to the tong wars that were going on. And if your viewers aren't familiar with what a tong is, to sum it up, above the ground,
cooking tongs?
No. Above ground, it's like a social organization you own you're a part of. You pay your dues, and there's services to the community. Imagine it's like a social club. So they help you pay this and this and that. But underneath that is a crime syndicate,
Right.
which is with drugs and everything of that sort. So there was a time in Chinatown where the police would not even come in because they were fearful of these tong wars that were occurring. I mean, these days they don't exist anymore, but a lot of these tongs have developed into associations that still have hostilities with each other. So there was a time when there was brutal, as we would call it today, gang war between these tongs who were fighting over, houses of ill repute, money, things like that. And it's not unreasonable to think that a lot of that was politically driven.
Oh, absolutely.
When we look at Detroit,
well,
the introduction of
all
crack cocaine to deal with
let's
racial issues. So it's really interesting, the history and how many possible things you can connect to these tunnels. And Kathy, for the viewers, Can you list all 11 ethnic groups that called Chinatown home? Because one of the misconceptions is that when people hear Chinatown, they say Chinese people. Though Chinese people
or
would...
black.
Yes.
Like you're on the dark side of town or something
Yes.
like that, you know.
So despite the fact, I mean, Chinese people did found the area that is now considered Chinatown, but there were 10 other ethnic groups who shared that area. So Kathy's going to list them.
There's Italian because
Yep, that's one.
I know a lot of Italians that have.
We'll let you guess.
They still own buildings and stuff over there.
That's right.
You know,
Kathy.
So that's one of them. What do you think are some of the other ones?
Japanese is
Japanese.
another one. German is another one.
Germans from Volga, Russia.
Yeah, the Steinhauers and Steinkrauses and stuff like that. And I think that's far as I could go, like in guessing. You know, besides, you know, saying, you know, start generalizing,
Right.
you know.
And it's interesting when people, the Akit, who is one of the first folks that's documented that came from China, he was in partnership with a German butcher, and they had a business in Fresno. They were extremely successful, but because they were successful, they got kind of moved back into the Chinatown area. And so basically when the railroad tracks came through, which tore out one of the Chinese Joss houses, and we know that we've got some of the items from there. Some are in a basement over at the Historic Society, but it was African American. One of the first businesses that we know was a blacksmith shop. So African American, Armenian, Basque, Chinese, Japanese, Italian, Portuguese, Mexican Americans, Germans from Volga, Russia, Greek and Filipino communities all call Chinatown home.
And that's unique.
And I forgot Armenian.
Now,
That was like a
why
given.
why
Come on.
Fresno though?
It made a lot of sense if you look at those communities because of the agriculture, and there was transportation, there was land to be able to be purchased for those that could purchase the land. But what happened when people, because for many of the folks, were not able to bring women over, and that was also when the United States had the anti-miscegenation laws where it was illegal for a Caucasian woman to be married to an ethnic guy, and people used to have to run and hide. But when the women started coming as either the brides that they had, the families they had in China or Japan, or they came as picture brides, then when they established their families, that they started their businesses. Chinatown itself had a hospital, a newspaper, French laundry, schools, photography studios, anything, because they could not have the businesses on the other side of the road. So what they did in our 17 blocks is made a community. Now, all those groups didn't take each other home for dinner, although they were very, very close, and a lot of them were business partners. But with the kids, they got to know the folks. But they still were very proud of their own cultures, but they also knew that they could work closely with these people. And for Fresno area, that's where a lot of the relationship between the Armenians and the Germans and the Japanese really became solid. So for a lot of the folks that were evacuated, like my family, their items were saved by the Armenian community because there is such a strong tie between them. But folks, and then when they were able to, after they lived above the shops or behind the shops, they would move toward, well, what's known as West Fresno. So all those homes that were there were torn out by the freeway. So we tend to get run over by transportation projects. But what happened is, that's why if you look across, there's a missing street when you're going across the freeway, because that was torn out. But that's where a lot of folks had their homes. They went to schools. I had one friend who was the director for Arte America said she was lived in West Fresno, and they lived next to a Chinese family. But her family would wait till they closed down their business in Chinatown. The neighbors would say dinner over the line, over the fence, and her family would go over and eat what was left over from the Chinese restaurant. So the ties are extremely strong that people.
Wow.
But whatever these stories, the powers to be would actually really, at one time they wanted us to change the name of Chinatown to get this International Village. And the rationale between our city council person and the director of redevelopment was Chinatown has a negative connotation. We said, well, if you ever spent time in Chinatown, you would know better. But
that must be the same ones that named the airport.
Yeah.
You know, for your information.
The people who think they know the most about Chinatown are the ones who spend the least amount of time there. I'll tell you that. Because we did a little survey on our own, And we documented over 75 businesses, organizations, schools, nonprofits, the whole shebang in that small area. And you come down there between 7 and 2, you won't find parking because people are eating. That people are very loyal. I still get we get phone calls like, I used to eat this restaurant on this corner, and I'm looking for the owner because she was a sweetheart.
Well, like back in the 70s, when my grandfather, he was the painter union rep and a city commissioner, but they decided to restore the Mukes home, and I was around 18, and I sandblasted with walnut shells, and then got to go inside, and I found a bunch of cool stuff that got taken. I mean, I don't know where it all went, but only there's a bunch of cool stuff in there that isn't in there now. But everybody
it's all in private homes.
In the community, people, if they know, like right now, nobody knows about the tunnels, or it's like we're barely cracking this nut open, But if they know, they get behind it because they want to preserve Fresno. Really, a lot of people do. They would get behind it. If they knew,
look at already, like you're selling out on these freaking tours.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So there's interest in this now. Another reason why I wanted to bring you into here is we are interested what's underneath Fresno, and I know it goes way further than just Chinatown. And I don't know if you know this, but underneath the Fresno airport there is a large facility that goes to 4 or 5 floors. You can literally drive trucks in the whole 9 yards underground. Matter of fact,
I wouldn't doubt it.
they are this renovation that they're expanding the runways and all that is just a ply to get underground and to start digging some more. And we think that is also interconnected downtown Fresno, and that's why they're keeping all this hush-hush, because the tunnels lead that way and they're using them. Okay,
like go from the FBI or office,
right.
And then go right underground, right straight up to the
right.
NORAD office in
in Colorado.
It's interesting. Jeremy was telling me when they were doing Homeland Security, they were doing some raids in the fields. And
Kathy.
What?
That's a sidebar conversation, Kathy.
Yeah, he has to talk to me about that one. But if we go look at the picture that you have up now, which is interesting, on the Bing Kong building.
No, this picture here I took. No, you sent me it, but I've actually taken the picture. It's right behind the Central Fish Company. It's on the alley. The reason why this is very interesting is because we're talking Chinatown, all right? And for those who can see the logo there, all right, okay, that's Freemason basically, okay? And we were just talking about that particular subject of the meaning of the triangle and the G. All right, and for a lot of people it means God. All right, but the Freemasons to this day are still very, very big and very strong, and I think are controlling basically everything that's going on. All right, and I think Fresno plays a big part in the Masons, and I think that's still going on.
Well, one of the things that we do, because I used to do the 50 cent and 75 cent doors on the surface, and I'd make people go past when they would be throwing out the dead fish, because you have to have people say, "Oh, hold your breath." But kids have gone through, adults, seniors, lots of folks. But one of the places I take them, I said, "Okay, now look at this building. It was an association building, but take a look at the balcony." And I asked them, "What do you see?" And they said, "Well, it's a Mason symbol." I said, "Yes." And I said, "We've never been able to find out why it's incorporated into that building, because it is Bing Kong is a Chinese association, and it had been. Which was funny about Bing Kong is that the police and fire department used to have to knock on the door to ask the guys if they could come in to do inspections, and the guys would say no. And they wouldn't let them in. But nobody, and I've talked to a few people that are with the Masons about why that would be on the building, because it's not a new addition. It was put on when that was put up. So it's years and years old.
So basically it's a marker, all right? They're marking something there. Now, you were telling me that building was just recently purchased. Explain to everybody about that.
Well, the building had, there was someone with, this is kind of interesting too. There was a number of records, paper records in 2 of the rooms. And over the course of the last year, there was about 3 break-ins. And something like the second break-in, a large fire was started in the record rooms, destroyed all the records. Old records. So the Bing Kong Association, for the most part, isn't really active locally. Their main hub is in San Francisco, and so the building kind of became a something difficult for them to maintain as far as security, people breaking in and everything. So the owners of Central Fish, the Zozaki family, decided to purchase it. Well, they had hoped to tear it down to create additional parking for their delivery trucks and whatnot. Well, they weren't aware, but that building has historic preservation protection.
Sure. Yeah.
So they can't knock it down. You can't make any changes to the outside. There's no facade improvements whatsoever without thorough approval from the city, which they hardly ever approve any of that. So now they're going to gut it and they're going to use it for storage. But
they can't touch the outside nor tear it down. Actually, it was sort of, we had heard that they were purchasing it and that they wanted to tear it down. So we as an organization, because we're very protective of Chinatown and its residents and its businesses, so we made a few phone calls. And those phone calls resulted in a city department communicating with the realty firm saying, you can't tear it down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're walking around going, that's one for us.
Now, if you look at historically, China Alley was like its own street. So,
So China Alley is right. That one is that alley
that's
right there.
That's China Alley.
That's China Alley.
So you would have just storefronts, and it's really amazing looking at some of the photos because you'd have these like canopies connecting between the buildings and the small
to provide shade.
Amazing. And so you have China Alley, and then you have Fagin Alley,
and then Whiskey Alley,
Well, you know, like what we're talking about could be San Francisco or Sacramento or Los Angeles, or I mean, all of it is almost the same. They all have their little underground thing, and they all have a Chinese community, and I mean, we're not unique.
No, we're not.
Here.
Well, one of the interesting parts, I have to tell you, when we first started doing the tours without charging, we were just trying to get people aware of Chinatown. We had several people come up to us saying, we were just up like Seattle, and they said, we paid this money to go on the tour, and he said, this is in our backyard, and this tour is better, more historic than what we saw in Seattle.
Wow.
And it's in our own backyard.
You go to, I mean, I've been to the San Francisco Chinatown a few times, but it's so commercialized.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you go, you buy, you know, your cheap novelty fake ceramics that are shipped, you know, over. It's not that unique. But if you come down here, we have 2 of the only soul food restaurants in Fresno within a block's radius. We have the only Japanese bakery in the Central Valley that's been there. We just celebrated 100 years. Wow. And she makes that fresh every morning, 4 generations.
And killer snow cones.
And you add it with the diversity, 11 ethnic groups.
And even more now.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you can open up those tunnels and find some more tunnels and get the permission from these businesses to do that, so that way people would come through their business to go down and charge and make some money. That's what I want to happen.
Absolutely.
You know what most people think is the big conspiracy, and you know, when you say tunnels under Fresno, the first thing that everybody thinks of is the tunnel going from the sheriff office to the jail. And I mean, it's not a huge tunnel. I grew up over there. My dad was a sheriff, and I used to walk the tunnel every day and go have lunch with the inmates, and then come back, you know, and file cards for the captain. But that's not a big, huge tunnel. But I think at one time it was in the connection of them.
And that's actually why tunnels, because it was used to transport.
Yeah.
It was used so that you wouldn't have to go above and go across. And that's exactly what we're talking that these tunnels were used in. They were also expanded with some other use. Who is it? Sal Quintel has a great story that when he was a kid, and he's on the council right now, that they used to take a metal pipe and go look for old bottles in the ground. His friends said, they're tearing down one of the buildings in Chinatown. So they got on their bikes, they rode over, and they saw a big wrecking ball tearing down one of the buildings, and he said they looked at it, and one wall went, and he said it was like a rainbow. It was blue and yellow and green, just reflected in the sunlight. They went up to it later, and they saw all these little small bottles. And they were opium bottles that had been put in the brick walls through the years. No one knew about it or cared, but it had a glorious end.
And that leads to something we discovered in a property that was donated to us. So, Kathy, the Ego property?
Go ahead.
You were there, Kathy. I think you're the better person.
He's laughing now. Now he's talking to me. We had 2 buildings that are...
She's doing fantastic. Leave her alone.
We have 2 buildings that are donated to us. And it was very hard work on our part to figure out who had it, if they would talk to us about it. And so over the years, we have one that's on F Street that has the only balcony. And it's when you go out there, it's not real safe now because there's a big hole. You would end up going down another story. But it's like New Orleans. You could stand out there and look it up and down the streets. But the community group, the one association donated that to us, and it's called the Boan Building. And another one was that was a Chinese community. The other one was donated to us from the Japanese community. And we're talking about the collection, or no?
Yes.
Okay. And for the city of Fresno, they did 2 things, but this is not actual powers to be, but some of the wonderful department heads that we still have and that we used to have. They came up before and found $60,000 to do a historic building survey of about 45 buildings in Chinatown. First time it was ever done. Their documentation on that shows that over half of them could qualify for local, state, or federal historic landmarks. They also did the background on the buildings. It was amazing. They identified that Chinatown probably had, and we've lost some of them since then, the largest collection of pre-war neon signs, including the large peacock that the Neon Man has. But part of what we're looking at, the only archaeological dig, and this is an interesting one, that has ever been done in the city of Fresno was done in one of our properties. So they were able to go through, they went down the burn line, they found all these artifacts, which it's interesting that as opposed to what High Speed Rail recently did, the folks that did that archaeological dig found more documentation of the historic nature of Chinatown. But what we also have in one of our buildings that we probably have, what the archaeologists had said, is the only collection in the country possibly of pre-World War II ceramics that were made in Japan and sent to the United States for commercial use. Mm-hmm. So we have...
and these were found in a brick wall because somebody was deciding to tear down the brick wall, and after a few hits to it, chunks started coming out, and they noticed these broken ceramics. So luckily he stopped, and we were able to get someone in there who was able to document and also organize a catalog of these findings. So we have those in our gallery.
You imagine what is still buried out there?
Absolutely.
You imagine another truck,
yeah.
Cars.
And there's a lot of empty lots in Chinatown because unfortunately that's been one of the worst things that's happened to us is the destruction of these buildings. And now we're facing even more destruction with this crazy train that they want to build. But if you look, every building in Chinatown, even the ones that aren't there anymore, the same amount of space that they take above ground, they take underground in the form of a basement. And more chances than not, they connect. They all connect.
Now, on my last show, and you even brought that up, where I actually showed a video of ABC when they were out there scraping in, and it's like, to me, that was a pony show.
It was a pony show.
As we refer to the dog and pony show.
That's all it was, because it didn't make any sense to me that, look, I think we found tunnels. It's called ABC. Let's get them out there. And it's just very weird to me that everything looks staged. Basically, they were telling everybody, no, it wasn't a tunnel. See, it's all a myth. Let's continue on with the rail.
And funny to mention about that is the high-speed rail officials in the city of Fresno had known for about a year that we were really organizing against this train. We had, pressing concerns about how it was going to affect the historical pieces in Chinatown. Well, we get a call and they say, well, the archaeologists want to meet with you because we have this plan and everything and we want your input. So we go have lunch and, whatever we're discussing. We get to the end of it and they say, well, we already did the plan, it's finalized, so. And we're like, why did you waste our time? And what's troubling through this entire process is that we know the people, we have the knowledge, we have a piece of the knowledge. Why wouldn't you come to us and ask us, hey, where should we dig? What do you guys know? Instead, you bring these people who are out of state for 3 weeks to dig where they dug on that show, and then they dug behind the adult bookstore.
Like, I actually think they didn't want to find.
They didn't
anything.
want to find.
Oh no, they
anything.
didn't want to
Of
find.
course.
Absolutely
But
not.
They happened to find something because they have to say something. You
Yeah,
know?
and they think this is like a scientific thing where if I dig right here and whatever I find right there, I can generalize to the rest of the area. No, it's
That's not the way it is. No.
None of those digs, those 2 digs, were not in Chinatown proper.
Right.
They were not done there at all.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we only had one dig, and that was the one that you showed on the last clip of.
Right.
One of the things when we were talking about some of the issues on paranormal, and it's interesting because when we go underneath, there's one section that's been identified on the Sanborn maps as a crib, CRIB, which I used to think many years ago that the guys used to talk about their apartments as crib, but apparently it's a historical term, which means that it is used for prostitution.
Right.
So when we take people, we have them flat shoes, be sure they watch their heads, since I'm the only one that's ever banged their head down there. But we go into the one room, and it's been documented that one section is identified as a crib, which is probably for the Chinese community. So I have people turn off the lights, and it is dark. Jeremy's been, and it's bad. And I said, okay, you need to imagine that there was one skylight, because we know there was one skylight up there. But that was blocked off in rooms of about maybe 3 to 4 feet by about 8 feet. Big enough for a cot, had a cloth cover on the front, a small table and a lamp. And the women that were convinced to come were told that they were going to be nannies, maids, housekeepers. And when they came across on the boat, they were told, no, you have this bill to pay for your food, your shipping, lodging, and you need to work, you have to work where we tell you, which was down in the process.
Yeah.
So he said there were women there that would be underground in that dark area, except for their lamp, for anywhere from maybe 16, 17 hours a day. And some of them were quite young. Many of them, that's why I would think it would be great if we did anything down there, because there's some people that have told me they get really goosebumps because of some cold spots, but that there are many people, the women, who either died from starving themselves or illness or killed themselves, but there are a few of the women who were able to pay their bills and were able to leave there. And I call them the real survivors of the community, because they were, if they stayed in the area, they married families, but most of the folks in the community, they don't want to talk about it because of what they had to go through.
Or they were the ones that were abusing these people, and they don't want to talk about it because they're really the bad guy.
Yeah. And I think for the sheer amount of people that might have died down there, the young women, somewhat of their suffering, some of that has to still be within the feelings, because once you go down there, to a person, we've had kids go down, we've had seniors, we've had a health group from China who actually came, and they identified some of our artifacts, but they've all said there is a feeling when you go down there that it just is such a powerful impact.
It would be fun to do an investigation.
Yeah,
we haven't found any lizards though.
I'll be looking.
Okay. I want to work with you guys, and let's go in search of. All right, let's go. Show me, because some of these walls that I saw on some of the videos of the tours that you're doing have peepholes in them. Have you ever looked in those peepholes and with a flashlight, or is there have you guys that have any chance of getting a camera put in there, or?
It goes into the next basement.
The next basement, okay.
But what doesn't make sense about, because the 2 doors are extremely old, both of them have handmade bolts. But the one that has a peephole, you could tell that it used to have a metal slide thing. But it's interesting that they're only about 4 feet away from each other, and they're really solid doors. The question is, why would you have these kind of doors 4 feet away from each other? What did they used to go to? We don't know.
Well, I'd definitely like to get down there and look at these doors and see if we can come up with gadgets and gizmos and stuff like, like this, cameras that you can stick through there and look and see what's on the other side. I want to, we have the TV.
He even has a heat imaging camera that goes on his phone.
Oh,
So
we have all kinds of
all
stuff.
this
Yeah, so
we could do a great investigation.
yeah. Well, I want to find these tunnels. All right, I want to find these tunnels. I know they're there. I mean, there's no doubt about it in my mind that they are there. I want to work with you guys, and I want to get in there. We have a TV show happening here pretty soon. I want to get a camera crew. We want to go down there and go in search of and uncover these things. I do.
We
I think
definitely want to go on the tour.
Oh, absolutely.
And take a camera crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
With us on that.
Yeah. So
I think it'd be great.
Okay. We got 15 more minutes, so let's continue on. We're almost there. Almost there, and that was. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, we almost 90 minutes. Imagine that. I know, and that's what I wanted. I wanted you guys to open up, and I wanted you guys just to let everybody have it. But I think Fresno is messing with you guys because there is something underground that they are still using. And for what I want to know, I've had people tell me that there are a very large underground facility under Fresno, and it's still being used. And they fear that, these tunnels are still interconnected. And I think that if you find one of these tunnels, it's going to take you right there, and it's going to blow up, and it's going to.
One of the things that a lot of people don't know. I mean, we talk about it because we know, And I think even on KMJ they talked about it. They have right across Clovis Avenue from the airport, the Fresno Yosemite International FYI, okay, with no international flights. But anyways, across the street is a solar panel
array.
thing. Yeah,
I've been there.
Okay, that's the second largest in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay, it was the first largest.
Fresno, California, had the first largest solar panel array for their airport.
Yeah, which is hardly anything, and there's more power that could run like a half a city. Okay,
Where's it go?
Underground.
it goes underground. Now now we are number 2 now. The number 1 one, I bet you can't guess. We're the number 1
For
solar
solar?
panel.
Yeah,
array.
solar.
Area 51.
Mojave.
You're close, but I mean, you ever heard about the Denver underground? Everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's under the Denver airport.
So the Denver overtook our facility as being now the number 1, and now Fresno number 2.
And they have those huge silos with the sprinklers on them.
Yeah, and they have all the pictures of
the murals and stuff.
All
Well,
that stuff.
Yeah, I've read into that.
So
I mean, but only we don't have all the murals and everything.
Yeah.
but
We have the ceramic trees.
Yeah, we do.
see, so Fresno has a lot of the solar panels. What the heck? We're the only. I mean,
Where's it going?
where's it going? Well, obviously, it's feeding something underground. All right.
I wish I could tap into it.
Okay. So so Fresno, they're trying to scare everybody away from Fresno, and they've been doing this for years. I mean, look at Donald Trump. He wanted to come in and put a beautiful thing in, and they ran his butt out. I mean, and people have businesses. They come in, and all of a sudden they close them down. It's for some reason they don't want them to build.
One of the interesting, Dick Avakian used to have Dick's Menswear, and wherever Dick got his information, because that's when the Running Horse Project was going to go on. I said, well, what do you think? He said, Kathy, have them roll out a map of that project. I said, yeah. He said, take a look at the middle of it. The city and that guy Mira, he said, can't organize 2 pieces of paper, doesn't own those. He said, those are privately held. That project's never going forward. And he said that years before the city invested all that money. And so he had said there a couple other things, and I'm not sure where he got his information, but he was spot on. And he said that that's kind of what's going on with the city of Fresno. And like when Trump came, or I guess the daughter came, people in the city fell over themselves
Yeah.
to Weiner Diner. But again, Dick had said, not going to go anywhere because they don't. He knows that they don't own that property, and it was smack in the middle of that project.
Well, they probably could have got it. I mean,
those families were going to put up a fight, and they did. They ended up fighting.
We had the mayor of Sanger on, the show, and he was talking about how a little bit of behind the government stuff, and he was saying they have like this no build, no growth plan, and it's not one they tell everyone, so there's no growth, and they're told the city governments are told by the higher governments, no growth. That's the no growth. If you grow, you're growing up, not out. And I don't get the high speed rail, that part I don't get. Like that really should be up high up. Like some
Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't even be touching the ground. It shouldn't be where my grandkid could run across the track and get run over. I mean, it shouldn't be any of that.
We do have to share this one. I know we're running out of time, but we actually, Chinatown hosted 2 of their best attended meetings on high-speed rail because we thought that that's what we need to do for the planning part. Then we looked at them because I'd gone to look at some of the maps early on when they were like at Grantland, wherever, when they had them. And I said, if you're planning to build there, I said, do you know the ground is not solid because of the tunnels? And the guys were like, oh, well, we've been working with the city of Fresno for years, and there's no discussion of that. I said, talk to them again. Take a look what's under there. And what happened is that's why the station's been moved back 1 block, because they felt that they weren't going to impact it. But we said, you're still going to be driving the piles through. You still haven't done the kind of research that you need to. The other one for Chinatown, too, is we may not survive. For redevelopment, everybody else that's been trying to kill us, this may actually just be the final nail in our coffin, because the businesses are not going to be able to survive with the streets being projected to be blocked off
for 8 years.
For the year of the construction. And what people still haven't said is why we're spending, I don't know, $1 billion something to move Freeway 99 100 feet. Because it's too close to the trains interchange. But that means that for the next 5 years, however long it takes. Yeah,
Glendon 99.
99, that once you come over the San Joaquin, you're going to have to go off on the streets, go around, pick it up somewhere downtown, and go down south. Because it will be closed. And it will be moved 100 feet. Now, if it's ridiculous, but
and let's be clear, there's no final plan for high-speed rail. There's not a final plan, and so for what we know, where we think it's going, it could just come 10 more feet and wipe out most of the buildings in our China. And we got worried. A little speculation a few months ago. I don't know if you remember the arson.
Yeah.
All the multiple fires downtown.
Yeah.
It didn't. I won't lie that it crossed our mind that perhaps there was some conspiracy with burn out these buildings that we need out of the way because it'll be cheaper, or we can justify tearing them down if they're hollowed out. Because the Del Monte building, there was a huge fire there. 2 huge fires, actually. And then they told them, you have to take the building down. It's unsafe and you can't keep it up. So then they started demolishing it. So it definitely crossed our minds about all the arson.
And we agree with a lot of people that, yes, the state needs a high-speed rail. But what happened was the first consultants they hired couldn't give people the time of day. They had no idea how to work with cities, homeowners, business owners, or farmers. They just came in and said, we're coming in and you're gone. And what happened is the reason we got involved in it is we've been under threat by them of eminent domain of a little building we have that had the archaeological dig.
That was the one with those dishes that we found.
It's 12 and a half by 50 feet. And they have been out after us. They've been calling Jeremy with the basic threat that we either sell the building to them or they're going to take us through eminent domain and then seize it. And we basically said, come on down.
Because it'll take at least a year in the courts before we even get to the point of litigation. And by that time, next year, they will not be where they're supposed to be able to qualify for the matching funds from the feds. The project is not happening. at this point. We really don't have. We're not fearful that it's going to happen. We know it's not going to happen.
What if, conspiracy theorist here, that they know it's not going to happen, but they are digging and doing stuff, moving things around because they need a reason to underground?
It's one thing to look at why it's that kind of track that they're laying through, or that the questions need to be asked of why.
And why did they pick Fresno to start with? Like, they're not anywhere else digging around. They're like right here.
And part of it has to be with the political parties. There are two people in. Boy, I'm not going to be invited anywhere. But I know I'm already on a blacklist here. But you have Brown, who wants a legacy,
right?
And
I mean, his father first conceptualized the idea of a bullet train.
And at that time, they should have talked about it. But then we have a mayor who met with them early and said, "Look, put the station here, and you have our full support." Duh. Because it's interesting that $1 million that's going to be spent on the plan, the way it got sold by the city manager, because it was a no vote to expend it, because and when people have written in the paper saying, "Oh, it's free money that we do the plan," the catch was that $200,000 needs to come from the general fund when they're really to go with that money to make the $1 million plus for the study. But it's like when you ask them, when they say, "Oh, it's an economic boon and all this," well, economic boon, we're not sure. But if you looked at all their major contracts, they don't hire people from the valley.
No,
they haven't been.
They're shipping these union workers from 5 states out.
Yeah.
And the thing, with big public work projects like this, like photovoltaic farms, wind farms, people don't understand. Yeah, it takes hundreds and hundreds of workers to build these. But guess what? That's a year, 2 years. Afterwards, those wind farms, 5 people.
Right.
5 people to maintain those. So you can say it's creating jobs, but it's not really getting to the root issue of creating sustainable jobs.
Well, I mean, all the jobs that they say are created right now are part-time.
Yeah.
There's nobody. I mean, I know a lot of people out of work, and there's no full-time jobs. They're only getting part-times.
Yeah.
Some of them have 3 part-times. And they don't get benefits, and they don't get overtime. Yeah.
And
there you go.
And part of why we're so thankful
Emerald,
that
right?
you've had us on
Emerald
the program
has 3 jobs.
is one of the things that we have to thank you, and we have to thank your listeners and the public, is that we know that we're only going to be able to survive and thrive and preserve our history, because if we don't, then everything that has gone wrong will be repeated again, because there will be no documentation of what you need to do to be on the right side. And we just want to thank you all for that.
Well, I appreciate you coming down. I have a real strong feeling that we're going to be working really soon with each other. And I want to go on one of these tours, and I want to bring the camera crews, not only that particular day, but on our own with you guys, and let's go and show us what's going on out there. And like I said, I want to uncover some tunnels. I know they're there. But there you go. Okay, well, Kathy, Jeremy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was a fast 90 minutes, very, very fast. So. You know what? We might not have a show next week because we are going to be filming here our TV show. And so we're going to talk to Art Bell and what's going to be happening. So, all right. For Jeffrey, Alan, Emerald, Kathy, and Jeremy, we want to thank you all for tuning in. And I don't know if we're going to see you next week or not, but we'll see what happens. So, all right, you guys, take care. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
You have been listening to Paranormal Central with Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas, broadcasting worldwide at paranormalcentral.net and on artbell.com. Stay tuned for next time. Remember to keep your eyes to the skies. And we hope you witness something you cannot explain.
Looking for you, you're looking for me. We have to decide what it will be. Can it be true? Can I believe the unexplained?